fast 200 Kenyan police officers can be deployed.
I have a team from Kenya in Haiti for the last 1 week doing an assessment of the capabilities that are available, the collaborations that are necessary. They have made contact, they have engaged with the Transitional Presidential Council, they have talked to the ministry responsible for security, they have had a conversation with the Inspector General of the police and the whole police leadership, and I think we have the best chance to deal with the gangs and to secure Haiti.
The deployment of police officers to Haiti is contempt of court, as a ruling had declared it illegal. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka says the president should be a good example for Kenyans and respect court orders.
An order is hereby issued prohibiting deployment of police officers to Haiti or any other country otherwise than in compliance with Part 14, Section 107 and 108 of the National Police Service Act. This was done on the 26th of March 2024. It has not been vacated. And until it is vacated, the matter of deploying our officers remains illegal and unconstitutional. This is why nobody is above the law and they can be cited for contempt of court.
Makueni Senator Dan Manzo, on his part, has said that it's clear that Haiti citizens are against the plan pushed by the United States, saying that the lives of the Kenyan police who will be sent in the operation are in danger.
The people of Haiti have demonstrated against the government of Kenya, and they have said that Haiti is not for sale. Now, as Honorable Eugene Wamalwa says, when Haiti turns Mahiti, who is going to compensate these Kenyans who have gone to a country which is Creole speaking, and none of these people know Creole? So that's a question we need answered by the current government, and do so against court order and against the Constitution.
Thank you.
The drift between Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and President William Ruto's allies continues to grow wider, even as allegations have emerged that there are plans to cut down the budget allocated to the office of the DP, that is Deputy President, by 25%. Kirinyaga Senator Kamau Murango claims that the budget of 70 million shillings to deal with snails in rice fields in Mwea area has been removed, as well as the budget to deal with reforms in the tea sector has not been included, although the government has said that it will be included in the additional budget. This event comes as during the weekend, Gachagua criticized some of the president's allies for practicing alley politics aimed at dividing the Mount Kenya region.
Let us leaders here, few, and there are few people who are proximity to the president, wamefura, wamekuwa na kiburi mingi, wanafikiria ati sasa wamefika, wanaweza kuja mlima ati wapange viongozi ya mlima. Sisi hatuwezi panga viongozi ya bonde la ufa, lazima tuheshimu nyinyi.
However, yesterday, some of the president's allies, led by Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi, told of Gachagua, saying his remarks were aimed at promoting regional and ethnic politics.
Wewe ukiwa kiongozi huko juu, kuwa kiongozi wa kushikanisha viongozi, kuwa kiongozi wa kunacha viongozi wadogo, usiwe kiongozi ukiona mtu anataka kutokea pale unataka kuongea kitu. Hapana, sisi wote tukiomba kura hii ya Kenya Kwanza tulisumuka tukiwa tulikubwa, tukianzia akina Waiguru, akina Ndindi Nyoro, akina Ishungwa, akina Moses Kuria, watu wengi. Lakini leo tuko na viongozi wawili wanatuongoza. Tuko na William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Hii maneno mengine ya vitina hii tunaona hapa, sijui nani anafanya nini. Na William Ruto, hakuna mtu anabebea William Ruto akili.
That's the news wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord. It shouldn't be like that.
I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing police of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's betting, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders. Everything then becomes chaotic that you cannot be able to change a nation.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning and welcome to Monday. All right, what's happening on the streets this morning? We're seeing a little bit of traffic starting to build on the Thika Superhighway. And as you come in through towards the survey, it's going to pack up as you get to the Pagani underpass. But apart from that, it's not too bad. Coming out of Westlands, I think we're all right as well. And into the city centre on Uhuru Highway, as you get through to the CBD, we'll see a little bit of that also starting to build up. The traffic on Landy is going out towards Kamkunji at the roundabout, but apart from that, I think we're okay starting off into Monday. Keeping an eye on things, SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hiya, Bossy. How are you doing? It's a new week. It's a final week of this month of May. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is a Situation Room. How was your weekend? I hope you had a good weekend. Ndu, how was yours?
It was all right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. What did you do?
So I did the hot run on Saturday.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
Very good.
And I went to worship yesterday. And then I watched...
You worship.
I worship. And then I watched crime things the whole afternoon, and it put me in a depression.
Crime things?
Eh.
What crime things?
No, it's just I was watching really back-to-back episodes of like reformed gangsters, reformed thugs, reformed criminals, essentially. As in Nairobi. So yeah, I was just,
What was this content?
It was on YouTube. So there's some fellas who put together, they have conversations essentially with folks who've been in the slammer for some time or for some reason. So it's either you've been in the slammer or you're dead, right? So those guys who've come out and they reformed and they're telling about what they did and how they went through it.
So they are reformed criminals?
According to the thing, according to what they say.
They say they're reformed.
Yeah, they say they're reformed.
Okay.
And they're looking for an opportunity to make it back into society and all of this. And they're young. They're young.
What's young?
I mean, come on. This guy, like the one like I was telling you about that really struck me was this guy. He's been in jail for 8 years. He had been gangbanging for 8 years. All of that, and he's 30. At the time of his production, he was 30. So you can imagine when he started.
Wow.
14.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That is quite something. So what is he up to now? So he's out of jail?
He's out of jail. And for a lot of them, they're out of jail.
What took him to jail?
Well, in this particular instance, after he'd come off and then he's come off what they're calling a job. And he was high at that time. So apparently he was coming out into a crowd of people, and whatever he had taken, he did not realize that he was at a crowd of people, him and his buddy. So apparently at that time they were about to be arrested. They didn't know. The drugs had taken such a toll on him that they didn't know that they were actually in a crowd of people. And then they were arrested that morning, and they were taken to court. And then
arrested for what?
They had known he was a known gangbanger. He was a known criminal, a known thug in the area.
Okay.
So he'd come out that day, and there were crowds of people. He didn't know that there were crowds of people because he was so high on whatever it is that he had shot up. And so he was identified by a couple of people, and then he was arrested at that point. So then he was arrested for intent to commit a crime because they found a gun on him. And so that's why he had such a short sentence, actually. And so he was there for some time. And while in jail, he was just a fighter and literally had been injured by the police. So like now he walks weird at the age of 30. He's never going to be able to get off that. So,
oh my goodness.
I know. So it's just one of many, many, many stories like
my
that.
Goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's either you're telling the story or you're dead.
Great. City, how was your weekend?
Good.
Saturday, I went for the Man Enough gathering. Yes. That took a good part of my morning.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
The rest of the Saturday and Sunday was as usual.
Usual.
Yes.
You'll tell us one day you'll invite some of those guys for Man Enough here. Let's have that conversation. See a lot of talk about the positives of Man Enough, and then some conversation about some negatives of Man Enough. My God, if you meet a guy and he tells you I've done Man Enough,
run in the opposite direction and run fast.
Take off.
Yet there are those who say,
I wonder why.
Why? What do people do there?
Well, that's one side of the story.
What makes you Man Enough?
The other side is, man, if it wasn't for that, God Almighty, I don't know what earth would have been.
Other people now telling their stories and saying what it has done for them, right? Well, let me tell you what we shall be discussing today.
Wait a minute, how are you?
I am fine, thank you.
Before we start discussing what you're going to tell us today.
I am well. I also had a just chilled out weekend, a quiet weekend.
No walkabouts?
Well, not much.
Okay, where did you drive about?
I didn't. But on Saturday evening, I went and I attended a concert by a young lady called Moringe. And Moringe does, sort of one-man guitar, renditions of one-woman guitar renditions of. Well, they don't mind. They're not so big on these gender issues. Okay. A one-man guitar is a title of something, right?
Yes, it's a genre.
It's a genre. So she does some very, very good one-man guitar kind of music. So I went to attend her concert in Kikuyu, and it was raining.
Oh dear.
Heavily.
Oh dear again.
But it was a beautiful one.
Oh, lovely.
She's done some. She was doing some very good shows. Very good shows. So at 7 o'clock, remember last week on Friday, was it Friday? Yes, that the Standard newspaper had some 78 pages or so of a notice from the Nairobi City County government. People who are land and property owners in this county being reminded by the county government, please, 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 people, we need you people to pay your land rates. Now, why thousands of land and property owners in Nairobi risk losing their properties is why we've invited two people from the Nairobi City County government. Isaac Nyoike is the chief valuer at the county, and Wilson Gakuya is the chief officer for revenue administration. They both will join us at 7 o'clock to talk to us about this issue. So when you say that people are going to lose their land, why? Because of why? Because of what?
It is their land. Why should they lose it?
Why should they lose it? What is that they haven't paid? And are you sure they haven't paid? Okay, so they'll come, the gentleman, to tell us about that. And then at 8 o'clock, let's have a discussion. There's something that's raging in the coast. It started with Mombasa. It went to Kilifi. It's gone now to Taita Taveta. And Kwale has also said, okay, we are also having this conversation. This caliph called Muga and the religious community in Mombasa raising concerns about it, and then the county governments agreeing with the community and saying, all right, there's a big issue here with Muga. Abdulswamad Sharif Nasir, the governor of Mombasa County, who was the first to issue a gazette notice and actually declare Muga illegal in Mombasa County, will be joining us at 8 o'clock. Let's talk about it. Is it just Muga? Does it include Mira? Does it go on to what else? And why Muga? What's the problem that they're facing in Mombasa? Sawa. That's what we shall be discussing. It's 19 after 6 already. Sheesh. Tell us about the weather, and then we'll say hello to people who are online.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
It's cloudy in Nairobi this morning at 15. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 14. And we'll see lows of 13 in a mostly clear Nakuru at 13, going to highs of 26. 25 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Nyeri. And at 11, Eldoret is clear with highs of 24. Mombasa is clear at 24 with highs of 30. And Malindi at 27 is sunny with highs of 30. It's 20 and clear in Kisumu with highs of 29, while Kakamega at 17 is clear, going to highs of 28. Kampala is clear at 19 with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam at 25 is clear. We'll see highs of 31. Johannesburg is clear at 9 with highs of 22, while Mogadishu at 26 is partly sunny with highs of 31, and it's 13 and partly sunny in Addis Ababa, going to highs of 26. We're looking into a clear Lagos at 26 with highs of 32. And at 25, it's mostly clear in Kinshasa with highs of 33. Monday afternoon at 26, Beijing is sunny. And it's cloudy at 12 this morning in Paris, 11 and cloudy in London. And wrap things up Sunday night in New York is 19 and cloudy. Coming into Monday, we'll see highs of 27 and those of 18.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
And Abasi, tuambie who's online.
Peter Carrier says, good morning, team. Mombasa is listening. There is no tomorrow to remember if we don't do something today. Well, that's true. Brian Oginga says, good morning from Tel Aviv. Ogani Malala says, the Haiti deployment is in bad faith and it is illegal. Okay. Nick Aradi says, good morning from Nairobi. Fellow Kenyans, have a blessed week ahead. Watching from Voyes Rogers. Samuel Mureithi says, good morning, tuned in from Koroi and Gatarungai. Have a blessed day. Dennis is also tuned in. Jeffrey Mogaka says, good morning, good people. Have a happy week to everybody. Nyaboke and Ndu, the two ends. Okay. Desmond Oti says, good morning, Spice. Watu wapeleke zakayo pole pole.
Mos.
Okay, sawa basi.
Hataki kukimbizwa kama baiskeli ya kuiba.
Na kuiba nini?
Baiskeli ambayo imeibiwa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Joseph Chabon says, good morning. Kiongozi Omosh says, good morning. To Eric and CD, so excited. The weekend was so awesome. Tell Eric, Manu walifanyia ile team ile kitu.
Walishinda?
Yeah, bwana.
Very good.
Robert Bogo says, good morning from Mombasa. Kelvin Chariot says, good morning. How do you do? Titi, how do you answer? How do you do?
How do you do?
Very good. Yamo.
I've never understood why, to be honest.
Yeah, same here.
I don't even understand the greeting.
Yeah, how do you do? As in, how are you
what's
doing?
it asking?
Why can't you just say, how are you doing?
Or how are you?
Yeah. How do you do?
How do I do what?
It's quite. How do you do what? How do you bake a cake? What, like this? How do you go to the moon? Well, I mean, what? How do you do it? How do you do it? Anyway. Clampton Eric says, good morning, tuned in, from Great Walls Gardens. And Gore, beautiful lady, says, good morning. It's very chilly in Saboti, she says. Transoia is chilly. Okay. Joe Mungai is tuned in from Bonnie Lake, Washington. I hope the billions we got from the US will not end up in people's pockets. Well, one can hope.
It must end up in people's pocket eventually.
My dear. Guten Morgen, München is locked in, says Linus Rainman from Germany. Bishop Sami Irungo is tuned in this morning from Berlin. The Germans are here this morning. Joseph Mokua says, good morning, team Situation Room. Tuned in from Maryland in Marsabit. Good morning, Mamboy Mechemka.
Wow.
Hey, Peter Kaboy. Nini. Private jets must be cheaper than KQ. Professor Kiyama is under siege. All eyes on the president's actions with KTD officials. Busy week ahead. Hashtag no Haiti. Okay. Geraldino Chieng says, good morning, CT, specifically just you.
Good morning.
Chieng says, good morning. Good morning, Ndu. Ja Muhoroni and the man in the chair. Jambo Spice FM, let's have a very good and bountiful week. Remember to help the needy after getting paid. Amen. No. David Moirori says good morning. Hats off says good morning, Team Spice. Greetings from Manchester United. CC Eric Latiff.
Nimewasalimia tena sana. Tell him to go and Google the most number of FA Cup titles.
Okay.
And who has won.
Hats off. You've been told to go and Google the most number of FA titles and who has won. Okay. Okay. A lot of people online.
Then he can come and report, please.
Okay. Alex Vundi Anthony's here. Pan-African says Kim Tai rather is tuned in. Bishop says good morning. Alan Watts is here. Joseph Undingi, John Shege, Lamek Otieno. Julius Song says I'm here. We can see you, brother. Good morning to you. Samuel Wainaina says how do you do, CT? Ogecha Dennis says good morning. And John Mutua is tuning from Doha and says tell CT to smile. CT, smile. There you go.
Bas. Emengia. So last week you promised that this week we are going to Zimbabwe.
We are in Zimbabwe.
Oh, really? You kept your promise.
I did keep my promise.
Allah.
CT, I've noticed you have a big book.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I really actually do mean a big book.
You've noticed that he has a big book?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the one I write on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hold up the book, City. Kitabu ya Headmaster.
Yani inaweza kufit kila kitu. Kuna section ya wale watoto ambao wanaleta shida. Kuna section ya wale walimu ambao wafundishi vizuri. Iko section for kila kitu. Lazima iwe kitabu kubwa.
Kitabu ya Headmaster.
Yes, he has understood perfectly.
And the one that's written in red, why
do you think I have a red pen?
Wow. Is Eric's name there by any chance?
Eric's name is there in bold letters, underlined in black.
but in blue. Yours, on the other hand, do.
Do. Right.
The proverbs from Zimbabwe.
Republic of Zimbabwe. You know, this country is bordered by Botswana, Zambia, Mozambique. Amazing, isn't it? And South Africa. The capital is Harare. Can anyone tell me what Harare was called before it became Harare?
Oh, there was a Port Elizabeth, something Elizabeth.
No. It wasn't Elizabeth.
Name.
It wasn't Anne. It wasn't Margaret. Sorry.
It wasn't Rosemary?
There's still an Elizabeth place.
There's something.
No, Port Elizabeth is in South Africa, folks, so that you understand. Yes.
Some chick.
It was called Salisbury.
See? Thinking man.
Salisbury, like the steaks.
There's a steak by that name?
Yeah.
Google and tell me. Second largest city is called Bulawayo.
So can you tell us what it was, man?
No. I want you to find out. I want you to find out. Okay? It's an interesting country. You know, there are two dominant communities. Okay? Shona, Ndebele. Okay? Shona, 80% of the communities in that country. You know, the other 20, Ndebele, and then other small communities like the white folks, colored, small. But you know, the interesting thing is this. So anytime you think of Zimbabwe and you think of the struggle for independence, the struggle is actually between the Shona.
And
themselves. No, themselves.
Within the Shona.
They are Ndebeles in the mix, but you'll find within the Shona there are different sub-tribes, isn't it? So that's where you find a lot of the pushing and pulling coming along. But I'll tell you more of that as the week chugs along. A very rich country. Rich in minerals, rich in human resource, rich in history. Okay. This one is the one I really liked, because I first didn't understand it. But let me read it so that you tell me what you understand. You should try things. A grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup.
Atia what?
Right. That's a good reaction to it. You should try things. A grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup.
Where is Chivi?
Wow.
Okay.
So,
but if she did it, that's fine. If she can did it, you can did it. It is 6:30. Tell her the road traffic.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
The Standard.
Hold on, traffic.
Oh, traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, what's happening on the roads this morning? Where are you coming in from? It's coming in not too badly off the Thika Superhighway. We'll have some traffic right around the Pangani underpass as usual. But before that, I don't think we have much happening. Kangunda Road busy as usual. And then also looking at some traffic coming off Manyanja Road. It's going to connect with Jogo Road as you head out towards Landis, which was really buzzing earlier on already. Then going towards Kamkunji, there's some traffic as well. On Gong Road coming into the city, I think we're all right. And coming in from Cabanas, there's a smidgen of traffic as you get towards Imaradime at the turn-off, but then after that I think we'll be all right. Eastern Bypass looking good. Coming into the city, and Uhuru Highway through to the city looks good as well. We're not getting into it just yet, but we keep an eye on things as we do. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Now the Standard.
Abandoned hustlers. Apparently hustlers have been abandoned. President William Ruto has said Kenyans are not paying their fair share of taxes and that he was going to increase the rates. However, looking at the budget to be read in a few weeks' time, the government's priorities have shifted from the Mwananchi initiatives to other key areas. Surprise, surprise. 12.6 billion shillings is a proposal to trim agriculture budget so agriculture budget was this. They're going to trim it by 12.6 billion. That's the proposal. They want to trim medical services by 10.6 billion.
Trim?
Yeah.
Trim?
Yeah.
Okay.
This next one actually has me in a bit of a pickle. They want to trim the education budget by 55 billion. The same education budget that they've not even been getting properly in the first place. But okay.
Okay. I'm not sure what we mean by trimming here. Is it trimming from the 3.2 trillion to the 3.9? Well, it was what? Going to 4.2 trillion to, what is it?
Well, 4.2 trillion has now come back to 3.6 trillion. 3.9 trillion.
That's the budget.
Yeah.
So is that where we are saying that it would have been allocated X and now so that we can save the 300 billion, this is where the trimming is? Or are we looking at this year's budget versus next year's budget?
I'll look into the story for you and tell you in a bit, but let me just tell you the last one. 48 billion shillings is the Ministry of Roads. They will see a cut, or rather they will see that much hived off of their budget. 25 billion shillings. Petroleum too suffers as the plan is to reduce its budget by 25 billion. Okay, so the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, and Oscar Sudi, who's the Member of Parliament for
Okoh,
have been having things. So this weekend they were just taking barbs and then they were throwing. Another one catches it, throws it back. They were like that. Sudi hits back at DP as allies cry foul over the budget. Who's supposed to cry, you wonder? Why Kenya needed new choppers? Choppers, not helicopter. You're thinking ya kukata kitungu. No. You're in Guinea. CT, you have relatives in Papua New Guinea.
Yes, I do. I know about the mudslide.
Landslide. Close to 700 dead in Papua New Guinea's landslide. It's a world story, and it was a big one over the weekend. So many stories on Standard today. Court blow to Uhuru Kin over 3 billion shillings land. The Kenya Commercial Bank has won a protracted legal battle against former President Uhuru Kenyatta's cousins over a 443-acre piece of land. Wololo. It's cheaper, Ruto says, on hiring a private jet. President defended his use of a luxury airplane to the US, claiming it was less expensive compared to flying in the national carrier Kenya Airways. Yeah, the stress and strain of cleaning social media content. Yeah, okay. So another story is also carried in the Nation, in the Standard today. On the front page of the Nation, how tea farmers lost 600 million shillings.
Okay.
Then there's a picture there in the front, and it's asking, will the centre hold? Things fall apart. Can you remember that pipe? The political marriage between President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua is facing a litmus test as the Cold War between the two Kenya Kwanza Alliance honchos rages. Even as the DP dismisses talks of bad blood between him and his boss, he still accuses the president's allies of political meddling in his Mount Kenya backyard. Is this the making of a political fallout? Question mark. Private jet was cheaper than flying KQ, Ruto says on US trip. Kenya police mission to Haiti put on hold. Base to host officers yet to be completed. So where they're supposed to go and stay.
Hakuna mahali ya kwenda?
Hawajamaliza bado.
Okay.
So once that is finished, now we'll go. So school feeding, empty bellies, empty desks, hidden crisis of childhood hunger. For many learners in Kenya's marginalized north, school lunches, however meager, are a small beacon of hope in their otherwise bleak existence. The state has been sued over 366 million shillings HIV testing kits tender. Chinese company has sued the government for classifying its HIV test as substandard, resulting in the firm being denied this big money.
A lot of money.
What? Never. What? Let's go.
Okay. The Business Daily has this headline: High earners handed tax-free per diems in new finance bill. Employees earning a monthly income of 40,000 and above are set for more tax-free per diems, making the high flyers like CEOs and senior public officials with fat paychecks some of the major winners in the amendment proposed in the finance bill. The bill proposes to amend the Income Tax Act to exempt per diem or the daily stipend designated to cover expenses incurred by employees during business travel to 5% of an employee's gross monthly salary. The tax exemption on per diem is currently up to 2,000 per day, a situation that favored low earners. Now, they're saying it's going to favor them a bit more. Okay. And then there's a bigger headline here, which they have profiled, woman in the news, the woman who took on Carrefour over abuse of buyer power. This is the story of a woman called Nyeri. Nyeri founded a company that does probiotic yogurt called Cool Fresh Yogurt. Remember the story last year about Carrefour being fined heavily by the competition authority. So this is Nyeri, who enjoys working with rural women. After completing her master's degree at the UK's Birmingham City University in 2003, she decided to work with women in the dairy industry. She's a food science professional who would teach women how to package dairy products and private labeling to increase productivity. So she started this Cool Fresh Yogurt. She would supply it to Uchumi and Nakumat. And then when Carrefour came, they found that she was already selling at Nakumat Karen. So they signed her on. And then she realized later that there were some issues, and she took them to the competition authority. And that began a new dominoes started falling. And it ended up with Carrefour being fined heavily by the competition authority. You can read that story, her feature, on page 2 of the Business Daily. And then there's an interesting story inside the Business Daily. I want to get to it. I just saw that headline. Just gonna get to it quickly before I ask Shiri. You know, you saw the story the other day of was it Qatar Airways, which experienced some serious turbulence and some 13 passengers or so were injured.
Yes.
Then the previous week there had been another one. Which airline was this? Some Southeast Asian airline, which one passenger died.
It was
and another one
Singapore.
in Singapore, right?
Yes.
And someone else and others were injured. Now there's a story on the BBC that says aircraft turbulence, it's getting worse with climate change. Experts say studying birds' experience of winds could help provide predictions of the weather phenomenon that causes mishaps. Our skies are getting bumpier, making the need to understand and predict turbulence increasingly urgent. Researchers are proposing that birds could provide the clues. So what they're saying is that the incidences of turbulence, and some serious turbulence at that, are likely to be increasing in our skies. So when you are on a plane, and whether the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched on or off, just have it on. Always. Just because you never know. Well, there's an ad that you say you never know when the craving will strike.
Exactly.
What was it?
What was that? You never know.
You never know when the craving will strike. City.
Yes.
Let's start.
Right, top right-hand corner in teal green, it appears the politics of the season is with us, and the season seems to be stretching. We are in season 1, okay? And here it goes, political tussle. Gachagua and Ruto war offers replay of Uhuru tiff in familiar twist. This story is on page 6.
Righty.
For the next month, Kenya to train 2,000 Haiti police officers in New Deal to suppress gang violence.
All right.
Education undermined. Auditor flags 150 million paid for ghost students placed in private universities. Okay? Ghosts have gone to school. Yeah.
Jesus.
Ghosts walk to school?
Schooling.
7 billion debt. Win for KCB as Kenyatta relative loses battle to save Prime Thika Farm from auction.
Allah.
Yep. Same story heard earlier on, but now it is in the Star. Bang in the middle of the paper. Suspicious audit reveals possible fraudulent activities in cash collection system. Financial mess at KNH. Hospital in 5 billion hole. The hole that is in, when you look at it, it may look small, but it's worth 5 billion. Skewed NHIF contracts, low Linda Mama rates, sinking county's biggest referral facility.
Countries.
Story is on page 4 and 5, yes?
It's country.
Yes, is this the country's biggest referral facility?
5 billion shilling hole.
Yes.
And we saw the story last week of EACC applying to freeze some assets that belong to the CEO.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But you know, these stories, they are never really complete.
You
What
don't
we
tell
read-
the full story.
No, we do not. We do not have the full story. Neither have we heard from the CEO. It's incomplete. What we've heard is what the EACC has done. But there's always, in such stories, there's always a lot more to it than what you've just read.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Okay. Abu, tell us about those abandoned hustlers then. Is that what you're going to tell
Yeah.
us?
So the hustlers have been abandoned. Are you one of them? So it goes into the details of this on page 4. And after 3 comes 4. All right. Now, Kenya Kwanza unapologetically abandons the hustlers, is what we're being told. So now, there's a question that is asked, and the same question is in the minds of the majority of Kenyans, even as the economy this year is expected to grow by 5.7%, ahead of the global average of 3.1%, as per the CBK's predictions. Yet, the majority of Kenyans who bought into the hustler dream that manifested a good economic environment for them to thrive have been faced with increased taxes, high cost of doing business, shrinking wages, and an administration that seems to have vacated its bottom-up economic transformation agenda, otherwise known as Better. And instead is prioritizing their own needs. The Better agenda, as espoused in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, was meant to provide inclusive growth so that even the mama mboga and border can feel the growth. A hustler fund was launched to rehabilitate majority of these individuals. Has your limit ever exceeded 500 shillings?
I've not tried again.
Not tried again?
Actually, I should.
Try and let me know by the time I finish reading this article.
If you get 10,000.
Okay.
Yende.
A hustler fund was launched. Ujapa, like we say in Nigeria. So that their credit score could be worthy before financial institutions. However, in a bid to tame the runaway inflation, that now stands at 5.5%, the CBK Monetary Policy Committee has consistently raised the CBR rate that now stands at 13%, making credit unaffordable to a majority of Kenyans, especially small businesses. Now, additionally, both the Finance Act 2023 and the Finance Bill 2024 have provided very little reprieve for the ordinary Kenyan, who now not only do not feel the expansion of the 5.7% economy, but also could be growing negatively. Now, the justification of the President, William Ruto's administration, that some of the decisions the government is making, like the recent 200 million shilling private jet trip to Washington, are good for the country, but do not seem convincing at all. His associates, including the country's chief economist, Professor Ndongo, who is the cabinet secretary of the National Treasury and Economic Planning, sings the Better agenda. At the launch of the economic survey, while detailing the structural effects that the economy has suffered due to long, persistent shocks, among them global supply chain disruption, he said the agenda was key in reversing this trend that is abnormal of the expected negative shocks. Now, I want to look into what is happening with the budget specifically and some of those numbers. Okay. Challenges are genuine and do not warrant the shift. We're looking at the budget estimates for the 2024-2025 budget, and it shows renovations to State House, to state lodges, and the offices and residence of the Deputy President. They will be allocated close to 3 billion. Agriculture, which recovered from negative growth in 2022 to record 7% in 2023, has its parent State Department budget slashed by 13 billion shillings. Data from the KNBS Economic Survey also shows that agriculture, inclusive of forestry and fishing, is the country's second largest employer after manufacturing. But they're receiving this slash. The revelation that 20 billion of the newly introduced affordable housing levy that deducts 1.5% from businesses and employees' gross income is being invested in bonds and bills. So it's not gone into the more than numbers that we've seen on the front page and where exactly these did come from, but we are seeing a slash. Social spending versus executive budgets, allocations to better clusters, infrastructure gets 98 billion, social 85 billion, finance and production 43 billion, environment and national resources 20 billion, 9 billion goes towards government and public administration. Etc., etc. But we're looking at specific cuts in the areas of agriculture, medical services, education, Ministry of Roads, and petroleum. But it's not giving us the details as per from whether it's after that initial cut or further to that cut.
Are we looking at 2023 budget and then 2024 budget and saying that there's a reduction? Because if there's a reduction in all these areas, so where is the increase coming?
Exactly.
Because the budget for this year and the budget for next year is an increase of about, what, 200 billion
200 billion shillings.
Right.
Yeah.
So where is the increase then? If we say that this is where the reductions are we saying that just the increase in allocation to the office of the president and the repairs of state house and state lodges it's not it? It's just 2 billion.
It isn't.
It's $1 billion. So where is it? I don't understand this story. Maybe there is they missed the point, but it's on page 4 and 5. The other page is not explaining.
Page 5, we're talking about helicopters that we have bought buying.
Okay.
So it's not clear here.
It's not clear.
No.
It's not clear. Speaking of budgets, so the president tweeted yesterday and he said, I have noted concerns about my mode of transport to the USA as a responsible steward of public resources and in keeping with my determination for us to live within our means, and that I should lead from the front. In so doing, the cost was less than traveling on KQ.
Was it though?
Me, I like the president.
You do?
Why?
I'm no longer going by KQ.
Where are you how?
It's less.
Okay.
You'll hire private
Yeah, I'm going
jets.
to have a higher. Please read on. I like what the president.
That's what the tweet said, and he didn't explain further. I mean, cheaper how? So everybody is now trying to do this. The Nation, the Standard have all stories. The Nation story says, they did some mathematics, okay? The Nation. A visit to Royal Jet website shows that the group's Boeing business jets is the leading VIP airline on the market available for charter. It also delivers various configurations to suit one's need. The jet that President Ruto used to and from the US was costing 2.4 million per hour. The total one-way trip cost
2.4 million shillings.
No less than 98 million. Yeah.
Shillings per hour.
Per hour.
Okay.
And then now they're saying that yesterday, the Nation tried to book a ticket with Kenya Airways from JKIA in Nairobi to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta, Georgia, and the cost per passenger was 664,645.
That is per person.
Per person. Assuming that the president traveled with 30 people, the total amount of would have been 19,939,950. This figure could vary if, say, it's
class gani?
Wajasema class
Ordinary,
hii ni normal kawaida,
mbele kabisa, mwananchi class,
coach class
600. Okay.
But then they're booking a flight to Atlanta. Kenya Airways only goes to New York.
Yes.
So unless now Kenya Airways has of course done that thing of where it has the code sharing, so we have landed you in New York and then now we put you on board another flight from New York to take you to takes you to Atlanta. And the president would not have done that. President Atiangeshuka, clearance, and then passengers traveling on.
He's border gates.
No way this would have happened. I think the president, in responding to this short response was insufficient, and he missed the point. It comes out as tone deaf.
Yes, it does.
He should have just come out and explained, so how is it cheaper? So for example, just say, if I took a KQ and commandeered an entire KQ with 30 passengers all the way to what do you call it?
KQ,
to New York.
inaweza kunia long distance.
If I go, kuna Dreamliner,
Yes.
leave JKIA to New York. So from New York, I'd have chartered a plane then to go to Atlanta. Then I'd have chartered another plane to come back to Washington. Then I come back from Washington, New York, so that I can board now the flight from coming back here. If you look at all those costs, maybe it would have been more expensive. Explain it and show this is it. And if I took this flight on Kenya Airways and I did all these things, the configuration, it's a presidential thingy, it reduced the number of people, when Uhuru went to see Trump twice in his term, how did he fly? He didn't fly a private jet.
No.
He flew commercial. But how did he go? When Kibaki went to visit Obizi, how did he fly?
Pride of Africa. You see, when you go Pride of Africa, no one does the maths.
But did they actually do the Pride of Africa?
I'm not certain how he traveled. That is the truth.
Because by the time Obizi was going, Bax was going to the States, the Pride of Africa didn't have direct flights
to New York or wherever else.
But can you not hire Pride of Africa to take you?
He could have.
Yes.
But he didn't.
No.
Did he?
What I'm saying is, we've never done the maths before.
Yeah.
We're doing the maths now.
Yeah.
Okay? Ask yourself, whenever presidents have traveled, what's the entourage?
Yeah.
And the caliber of officer they travel with. Ordinarily when they travel, do they travel Mwananchi class? Do they travel business class? Do they travel first class? And if
never
they do,
Mwananchi.
yes, none of those people travel Mwananchi. So what does it cost? Okay? And those people are never fewer than 20.
That's true. Okay. And look, I think that in the face of what's going on in the country momentarily, you're at a point whereby everything had gone belly up at some point. You're coming off floods, you're coming off a really dire economic situation, and then this all kinds of speculation. It is rife. It would have cost nothing for the office of the president to explain exactly what was going on. And I think that usually is our problem. That why should I explain to you? What do you mean? Shebi, I went and came back. Did I not bring you 1 trillion shillings in foreign whatever? Why should I explain?
In promissory notes.
I think that's what we need to run away from. That you do actually need to be accountable to your people. You need to tell them exactly what you did and how you did it. It doesn't take anything from you. It doesn't make you less of a man or less of a president. Just tell them, well, this is what happened and this is how much we would or would not have spent.
And if it turns out it costs a little more, yes, it has.
Say it costs more. End of story. Shikena, and then we move on.
So you can say maybe it costs a little bit more in terms of cash spent, but everything else, there's a benefit to it.
Instead of convenience.
Yeah.
Yes.
You were able to meet your obligations as you wanted on the terms that had been prescribed. You would argue, and argue probably very convincingly, that a jet that was under your control is what would have enabled you to achieve these things.
It maximized my time. For example, he landed in the States and went straight to his meetings.
And I didn't waste time, that kind of thing.
So this allowed me to do this and
I didn't spend any extra money doing this, that, the other. Just explain. It doesn't, come on. People who see sense want to explain things to you properly.
And even if they complain, it's been told to them.
Even if they don't see sense,
it doesn't matter. And they can do the maths.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is where the president's Nyeri has come from. If you look at from the entire trip that the president has made, if you went to State House, the website, if you went to the State House social media pages, you will not find like a summarized brief of what the president did, the meetings that he held, the agreements that were signed. You will not find it in one place. That says that this is the president's trip in summary. We've seen other people trying to do that on social media, Paulinho, Njoroge and the others. The president has not done that. The president's notes from America is, I have noted that you guys are complaining. But then let me tell you, it was cheaper.
Eric, at the risk of sounding like we're going to kick our colleagues who work in that particular environment in the teeth, surely doesn't the president owe it to the citizens for them to say, our itinerary is this?
Yes.
Okay? When you've gone to Atlanta, this is what we are going to do. We've seen who you met.
Yep.
This is what we are going to do. This is what happens. So that when we go to Washington, this is what we are going to do. So that the pictures we see in the press are accompanied by something that explains.
Yeah.
That's what these things are about, so that we understand. Okay? I met with the president of this company, and we agreed that they're going to bring robots. I met with the company of the president of this other. Surely, all these people in State House who are supposed to be communication gurus, all of them, and there are many.
There are many.
You're telling me that they couldn't do this? Or even this matter of explaining the issue of the jet, are you telling me they could not do this? It's their job.
They could have done nice.
They could have.
They could have done it.
Attitude of why should we tell you?
They could have come out with a very nice and clear, concise explanation. So the president's trip, contrary to what you guys have, just goes because you've gone on Google on the website. That's not actually how much we've paid. We negotiated. This is how much we've negotiated. This is how much it's going to cost. We have. The president has traveled. It took us. The whole idea behind this was this, and the other. Hapa kwa communication, F.
0.
F.
You're in Mbaya. That communication setup has been drained.
Arrogance.
It's arrogance. It's an attitude issue. Why should we tell you?
Yeah.
Are we not the president?
Okay.
So, City, over to you, man.
Over to my person.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure I want to read this KNH story. I don't want to read depressing stories early in the morning.
Okay.
When there are far more cheerful stories I can read. KNH, Kenya, no, not KNH. Kenya HIV researcher wins prestigious U.S. University award.
Right.
Yes, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Benson Edagwa. He has contributed to 84% and 18 applications in the U.S. What this guy has done, he came up, I'm summarizing, then I'll read a little bit.
Okay.
He came up with techniques that would enable HIV patients to be able to follow a certain process in a day that would then serve them for 6 months. Okay? He invented a technique to allow patients to take ARVs once in 6 months. Okay?
Oh, wow.
This was written. A Kenyan drug hunter, this is how the John Mushangi has written, who developed technology for once a year ARV, has been recognized for his trailblazing research in the US. Dr. Benson Edagwa, an associate professor at the University of Nebraska Medical Center, last week received the university's most prestigious award for teaching, research, engagement, and commercialization.
Right.
Note, everything.
Kila kitu. Teaching, research, engagement,
and then tengeneza pesa. Edagwa is listed as an inventor of 19 unique new inventions notifications that have led to 84% and patent applications. He is also listed as an inventor in 45 pending patent applications and 11 issued patents. Those numbers put Edagwa in the top 1% of all innovative faculty at University of Nebraska, the university said in a statement. He has worked for 10.5 years at the university, becoming one of the most productive and innovative faculty members, the university said.
It's like every day these guys are applying for a patent.
Yes. Yeah, because he's the one who's come up with that idea. Dr. Ndagu, who studied BSc, Bachelor of Science in Chemistry at Moi University. Note, those of you who've studied Bachelor of Science in Chemistry and wondering what to do with yourself, take note. Okay?
Go to Nebraska.
Go to Nebraska and meet Dr. Ndagwa. Has played a pivotal role in the development of several inventions to treat chronic, viral and other infectious diseases, including hepatitis B and mycobacterial tuberculosis. So it's not just HIV. Many people associate HIV with these diseases because HIV opens you up to almost any disease known to mankind.
Yeah.
Sawa.
Kabisa. That's a good story.
Very good story.
It's a very lovely story.
Yes.
It's followed by this one of empty bellies, empty desks. The hidden crisis of childhood hunger in arid lands. When the bell rings for lunch at the Hula Hula Primary School in Marsabit County, 12-year-old Hawa Hamadi, the eldest of four, knows that independence kicks in. She is well aware that her two siblings and her mother at home rely on her. When the bell signals lunch break, she knows she has to stash some food for her family. Each dawn brings despair and emptiness to Hawa. The burst of sunrise is a harsh reminder of the torment she endures daily. So this is a story of this girl who goes to school, and at lunch she is given food. When she takes that food, she knows it's not just for her. She carries the food home to take to her siblings and her mother. She is what we call the breadwinner.
How old is she again?
She is 12 years old. Hawa's reality is harsh and unforgiving. Her days are marked by hunger and worry, the weight of responsibility far too heavy for her young shoulders. The school lunch, however meager, is a small beacon of hope in her otherwise bleak existence. She clings to the hope that one day she and her family will no longer have to rely on these scraps, dreaming of a future where they can all eat their fill and face each day without the gnawing pains of hunger. This is the reality in this country. When you talk about school is so many things to very many people.
Very many people.
It's a safe haven. It's a place where you can get lunch. It's a place where you have your dreams. It's a place where you learn. It's a place for many things.
So when you hear that monies that are in a budget that are supposed to go to a school have been slashed, you have to ask the question,
do people understand what this thing
As it is, it was not doing what it was supposed to do.
It was not being given as it should.
Or when you hear that some ghost students in university have been paid for fees and that money has been eaten, those people should be hanged.
I'm telling you, hang on.
7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
It's now 7 a.m. Get effective relief from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Relief starts here.
Vibes Radio.
Wire, I'm Leah Ubaga. An advanced team of Kenyan police officers who are in Haiti to assess readiness for a multinational force deployment to combat violence is returning home today due to logistical issues. The team returns after a delay of 3 weeks was announced by President William Ruto, revealing that the bases are still under construction and that essential resources such as vehicles are required before the first 200 Kenyan police officers can be deployed.
I have a team from Kenya in Haiti for the last 1 week doing an assessment of the capabilities that are available, the collaborations that are necessary. They have made contact, they have engaged with the Transitional Presidential Council, they have talked to the ministry responsible for security, they have had a conversation with the Inspector General of the Police and the whole police leadership. And I think we have the best chance to deal with the gangs and to secure Haiti.
The deployment of police officers to Haiti is contempt of court, as a ruling had declared it illegal. Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka says the president should be a good example to Kenyans and respect court orders.
An order is hereby issued prohibiting deployment of police officers to Haiti or any other country otherwise than in compliance with Part 14, Section 107 and 108 of the National Police Service Act. This was done on the 26th of March 2024. It has not been vacated. And until it is vacated, the matter of deploying officers remains illegal and unconstitutional. This is why nobody is above the law and they can be cited for contempt of court.
Makueni Senator Dan Manzo on his part has said that it's clear that Haiti's citizens are against the plan pushed by the United States, saying that the lives of the Kenyan police who will be sent in the operation are in danger.
The people of Haiti have demonstrated against the government of Kenya, and they have said that Haiti is not for sale. Now, as Honorable Eugene Wamalwa says, when Haiti turns Mahiti, who is going to compensate these Kenyans who have gone to a country which is Creole speaking, and none of these people know Creole? So that's a question we need answered by the current government, and do so against court order and against the constitution.
Azimio leaders have continued to criticize the 2024 finance bill, claiming that MPs have failed to protect Kenyans against the increase in taxes on essential goods such as bread and cooking oil. DAPK party leader Eugene Wamalwa said that President William Ruto has ignored the cries of Kenyans and various leaders regarding the increase in taxes.
They want to introduce VAT, 16% VAT on basic essential commodities that ordinary Kenyan families use, like bread. You also have cooking, edible oil. The minute the price of oil goes up, everything that is cooked would go up. So we are saying this government is totally insensitive. It is not listening to the cries of Kenyans. We have had the church and the Catholic Church bishops came out and told Bwana Ruto, this issue of cost of living, please listen to the cry of Kenyans. He has defied the church.
Wamalwa further said that opposition leaders will lead a protest if the government pushes the National Assembly to pass the bill which aims at oppressing Kenyans, especially the so-called hustlers.
As Azimio, we have said we are going to challenge this, we are going to take legal action, as well as that power that has been given by the Constitution to the people, Article 37, for them to demonstrate against these atrocities and abuse of human rights. The way forward is for Kenyans to realize that they were duped, particularly those who are at the bottom of the pyramid. Those who are called hustlers, those who are called mamambogas, they were told this government will be for hustlers, this government will be for mamambogas. Yet, the hustler-in-chief himself, the hustler government, is the one hurting the most the hustlers down there.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM. Nakuru.
A few minutes after 7 o'clock, traffic starting to build up in the city this morning. And let's take a look at what's coming off Thika Superhighway, coming in hot from that junction just past Allsops. And also on Kiambu Road today, it's also bumper to bumper as you approach Muthaiga Square. Kangunda Road started early off the jump, some traffic then trying to get towards Outer Ring. But you get onto Outer Ring and then you'll be all right. Jogo Road is busy getting towards Landis. But as you get to the City Stadium roundabout, we'll be all right going towards Lusaka Road or then towards Landis. It's busy coming off the Eastern Bypass, but we're not at jam status just yet. All the way through towards Mbakasi and then out towards Outer Ring. There's a little bit of traffic at Imaradime. I'm not quite sure what's causing that, but we'll have a look at that in a bit. Talk to us. On Gong Road, it's also busy coming in towards the city and coming in from Kikuyu Road, Naivasha Road, all of that starting to pile up. Limu Road also really busy right about now. Talk to us as we get into traffic hour. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 minutes after 7. It's the 27th day of May 2024, the final week of May, and then we get into June and bas. Christmas is here. Just like that. I mean, you move from one day, blink like this, and it's 2025. Blink again, 2032.
Wow.
Now watu wanafikiria 2032 iko mbali sana. It is coming. It's coming. So, are you doing any business with the government of Kenya? If you are, and whether it's a national government or any of the 47 county governments, you need to know something. That the law requires that you submit a tax invoice when you're billing them. Okay? How do you do that? If you are not VAT registered, you think, yes, no, it's for everybody. The e-teams comes in handy, and it's a very easy way of generating an e-teams invoice. City, how do you do that?
Well, *222#.
That's it.
That's how you start. And once you do that, you will be introduced to an array of choices. There are 5 of them.
Yeah.
The 5th one is the one you want, scary.
Okay.
As we say in Kiswahili, bonyeza. Once you bonyeza, you will now be asked to fill in certain details in an invoice that has been generated. Now, the key component of this particular invoice is the PIN number of the institution or individual you wish to invoice. Once you enter those details, as requested of you, you can either send it or you can seek to print it. Thereafter, you could say, and you'd say so correctly, that you are e-teams compliant. Yes. It is as simple as 222.
Like that?
Yes.
It is like that. Very good. Now, our next conversation is going to be about the Nairobi City County Government. Remember, last week there was a huge advertisement carried in the Standard on people who own land and property in this city. And the county is telling them, listen, have you paid up your land rates? If you haven't, please just make sure that you do, because the people who are listed here are property owners in this city, and you have not paid. You are in arrears, and once this window closes, you run the risk of us even auctioning off your property. And you're like, what does that mean? It was how many pages, City? Close to 72 pages.
Yes.
72 pages of an advert. Why?
There are many pages.
Those are very many pages.
But Eric, disclosure is important. Your name was 137, remember?
Ilikuwa pale. And that's the problem I have.
Yes.
I have been paying.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, what are they saying? They haven't.
So just you, mine appeared in 350, and I wonder how.
But you know, you as a big chunk of, I mean, surely, you and Kirema, same. Big landowners in this city. We are first of all to investigate how you acquired that land.
First of all.
Surely. Yours starts far, but it's a big story. Anyway, we've invited the Minister in charge of Finance in the City County Government of Nairobi, the CCM Finance and Economic Planning, Charles Kerich. Good morning, Charles.
They used to say, good morning, viewers.
Still what?
Good morning, viewers. Yes. Karibu sana to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante.
Good to have you here.
Good to be here. My first time here. Actually.
It is, eh? Mm. Ah, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, we've had you on KTN. Not here. Karibu sana. It's the hot seat of the Situation Room. You'll find yourself very comfortable here. You're among friends. Like City here.
That is absolutely true.
Who will want to talk to you about, his several thousands of acres of land on paper. I don't know whether it exists anywhere on soil. But to welcome you to the conversation, City will tell you about chai. Nasikia huko City Hall, unatuachia chai. No, it's not that kind of tea.
Hapa ndio unawachia chai.
Hapa ndio tunakupatia chai. Proper chai. This is chai from Olengruoni.
Mm-hmm.
You know Olengruoni?
Yes, I can see it's called Assis.
Assis
which in my Kalenjin dialect, and the same as the Egyptian people, means the sun. Is that what it means?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, but you are right.
Yes.
There was even an Egyptian god of the sun called Assis.
Yes.
Quite right. Quite right.
We came from there.
Kalenjin and Egyptians.
Oh, okay. Kalenjin and Egyptians.
Same.
Thank you for the gift.
Karibu sana. Yeah. If you check inside that pack, you'll find several different flavors of the Assis tea.
I can see there is hibiscus, organic certified.
Yeah.
Our happiness blooms from within the flower. There's even poetry involved.
I'm telling you.
A cup of tea and poetry.
And then there is another one called chai tangawizi, which is ginger. Wow. Thank you very much.
Karibu sana. So
Very
this
generous.
is from the Kiptagich Tea Estates. The Kiptagich Tea Estates is huge in that part in Olengruoni. Some 2,300 acres of lush tea plantation. And then they pick the tea, they select the best, they have their own factory there, they process it, they pack it, they sell it to us. And they also export. So what you're taking is export quality. That's why they call it the premium tea, Assis premium tea.
I look forward to
go and enjoying
this one.
Yeah. The second welcome from City is the day's proverb. And your job here is to listen to the proverb and give us your interpretation of it.
Our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Republic of Zimbabwe. Okay? This proverb, the one I'm about to read, puzzled even me. And I cannot say that I've actually quite figured it out. But I found it interesting. You should try things, a grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup.
You should try things. A grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup. What do you think this proverb is telling us, Waziri?
Means there is hunger in Chivi. No food. How would they cook stones?
This is just the journalist, St. Charles.
What's the backstory?
What's that all about?
It's a story. There's hunger in Chivi, so they had to cook stones. All right, but then what else? So what lesson did this grandmother learn?
I'm floating.
You are, right?
Yeah.
Even City was floating.
I decided to take the last bit. Cook stones and got soup. Meaning, even the most difficult of tasks, if you persisted it, who knows?
You get something.
You might get something positive.
Yeah.
That's the best I could do with it.
I think the first line goes with it. You should try things. And then goes to give an example of somebody who tried something completely
difficult.
Yep.
Near impossible.
And they got something out of it.
Very good. That's inspirational.
You should try, for example, Charles, getting more revenue out of Nairobi City County.
We should try auctioning some property.
Why so? Now that we get into that conversation, so many property owners that you listed in the public newspaper and said you owe the county government of Nairobi. What's the backstory here?
So, county governments are run with revenue that's collected from, different areas. You see some counties put roadblocks so that they can collect cess. And sources of revenue are identified and put in a finance bill, meaning every member of the public is informed that this is what is due to be paid, in case you want to get into that business. So if you want to start quarrying, there is a cost to quarrying. Land rates is among the sources of revenue for every county. In fact, for Nairobi, it is the largest source of revenue. And it's not unique to Nairobi. Cities all over the world levy land rates. City of London, for example, collects so much in land rates that by law, they are not allowed to spend all of it. They are supposed to share it with the poorer boroughs in the north. And possibly, if Nairobi was doing that well, not only would we not require to borrow from anybody, we'd probably start lending the GOK. So, over time, management and enforcement has fallen back. So, for instance, for you to put a price on how much you're supposed to pay for that 135 plot that you own, it has to be valued. Now, the last valuation roll in Nairobi was done in 1982. So people have been paying land rates based on a valuation of 1982. In 1982, an acre of land in Karen was going for maybe 800,000.
For an acre?
For an acre. The same acre is now 80 million, possibly. And with time, that had not yet been reviewed. The county now has a new valuation roll. The valuation roll is possibly the only one in all the 47 counties. No other county has a valuation roll. And that valuation roll basically brings as much properties as possible into the roll. We have about 177,000 properties that are now in the roll. But we know that that is nowhere near the actual number of properties that exist. And property means a subdivided piece of land, whether it has anything on it or not, because rates are charged on what is called undeveloped site value, meaning somebody who has half an acre that's fallow or empty pays the same as the same person who has half an acre with a 60-story building. So land rates are then charged annually. You pay a small percentage of the value of that land. The new valuation roll comes up with something called a rate struck. So a rate struck tells you this is a percentage. You can calculate for yourself how much to pay. The rate struck is 0.115%. The whole idea was once you've done a valuation roll, you don't then increase the rates significantly, because when the rates go up, compliance comes down. But in Nairobi, I cannot speak for others. There are people generally who are willing to pay, whether it is parking or land rates or any service. And then there are those who, these ones who are willing to pay, they don't even need to be reminded. There are people who say, Christmas is coming, we need to settle our land rates before we go for holidays. There are those who want to pay, but, get caught up with everyday life. You have needs and shopping and school and so on. And a gentle nudge or reminder, and they settle. And they say, I actually intended to pay. And you can see they are quite a large number. And then there is a group called won't pay, can't pay. Or I'll pay if you catch me.
Will never be me.
Now, that's why you have people called enforcement who walk around with rungus. Ideally, nobody should be holding a rungu for you to do anything. If it's an obligation, that you have.
Charles, it may sound like a bit of a silly question, but so what is this land rate that you're asking folks to pay? One would assume that if I've bought a piece of land, right, and I mean we hear it all the time, there are county governments who are asking, there's a waiver, or they'll say pay by a certain date, or we'll say we'll give a waiver of a certain percentage. So what exactly are we asking folks? What are you asking the county county government? What is this rate on land that you're saying pay every year? What is that?
So land is on lease. When you acquire a piece of land in Nairobi, you're given a lease. And most of the city is on a lease. That's why you hear the land is on leasehold. There are a few areas known as freehold. And people used to really run and look for freehold land because after that, then you don't have a lot of obligations. There are very few pieces of land that are freehold. The area around Dagoretti came to be part of Nairobi in 1974. The area around Ruai came to be in Nairobi at the same time. So you will still find a few
parcels of land
there that are not leasehold, that are freehold.
Okay.
But everything else that is leasehold, you're supposed to pay a rate, an annual rate for that lease. And it is calculated. And when you buy a piece of land from somebody, they transfer that obligation to you. It's a small percentage to provide the county with revenue so that they will fix that road that comes to your place and provide water and the sewerage system and all the other services. So because you cannot say that because we are putting water and sewerage, we will only get revenue to do that from water and sewerage. It's an amalgamation of all your revenue and you put it in a basket, then you prioritize. So the land rates is an obligation that anybody who owns a piece of land has to pay. There is land that belongs to national government, so you will then hear another language of something called stand premium, which the county does not charge. That's for national. But the counties is just a straightforward fixed amount land rate paid annually. And it's a continuing obligation. You will never own land without paying that, unless you're in the village somewhere and they don't charge that.
And is the amount dependent on the size of your land, the amount of that it cost? What is the amount dependent?
It's dependent on the value of the land.
All right.
And that's why I started by telling you about the valuation role. Meaning, you will know that half an acre of land in Upper Hill will cost 600 million, I don't know. And half an acre of land in Kasarani will there's a generalized acceptance of how much a piece of land in a particular place should cost. Right. So that value is then what is appropriated to determine how much you should pay. Remember, the value is on maybe half an acre.
Right.
But you could be having 100 acres.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's extrapolated the same way.
Okay.
And the bigger the land, the more the land rate you're required to pay.
So this is an annual rate. You pay every year a certain amount as a land rate. Is it possible that in 2021, CT and his 135,000 acres did not pay his land rate in 2021, and he's been forgiven, it's been looked over by the county, and then 2022 he's still not paid this amount, and 2023 has still not paid? Is it possible that that would happen?
It is absolutely possible.
Okay.
Because like I said, there's this lot of people like CT who say, I will pay only if you catch me.
Right.
And so you then require a lot of manpower and technology to try and follow up. The county was operating database that was inherited from the local government system then. It was called LIFORMS, Local Authority Information Something System. And it was very archaic.
Yeah.
But that's what all the counties were using.
Yeah.
And that's what we are trying to get away from now. Because the life form system is just a database, really. But it's not smart. It doesn't tell you that this month is coming and these are the people whose land rates are due, so that you would be then able to pick a phone call and say, hey, you need to pay. And so we then developed another system that we are now using called Nairobi Pay. And we are in the process of really trying to build the data now that will be used even for future. Because what you have from life forms is existing data of just a list of landowners. But it's not smart enough to say so-and-so's rates are due and so on. So it's possible there are people who have gone year on year without paying. Again, automatically it attracts interest and penalties because it's provided for in law. And that is why every year, as you were saying, you will hear some governor saying, we are now giving you a waiver on interest and penalties if you settle the principal. That waiver is always on interest and penalties only. You cannot waive the principal. Yeah, that would never happen because that would be unfair on the other people who have paid. You are supposed to pay the principal. Okay. So some people accumulate, and the more you accumulate, the more the interest and penalties, and that is why you can see some astronomical figures that once settled will really assist us in service delivery. But of course, there are people who say, okay, the waiver is on, okay, I've missed it, there'll be another one.
I'll wait for next year.
And so Nairobians then develop this habit of, you wait until the last minute, then you say, oh, that last minute, I didn't catch it, I will. So we have a waiver going on now for 1 month. And why we've done it again is because, we recently launched our customer care center at City Hall Annex. It's a very nice facility. It doesn't look like City Hall. City Hall had started looking something else there. Yeah, and so we redid the whole of the ground floor, first floor, second floor, and it just looks like any modern banking hall and so on. And then we migrated to this Nairobi Pay system that I was telling you about. And it had some teething problems and some hitches. So, for example, somebody would pay through RTGS. It's not connected to the bank, and so it has not updated, and so I come to you and say you have not paid your land rates, and somebody produces their receipt to say I have paid. And then when you realize that actually the mistake is on your end, of course you cannot harass somebody who has already paid. So then we ask the bank what's going on, and you realize, oh, there is an issue of integration and so on. And so that waiver period that ran initially was when you were trying to fix these integration issues, which have now been fixed. And that's why we said, then let's do another one for 1 month, because once you pay, it's able to automatically update the system. So we have a 1 month waiver going together with the infamous list. I don't know whether it's a list of shame or a list of...
Can we call it a booklet of shame? It's a bit more than a list.
Yeah.
So in that case, when you said, look, we're going to... Essentially what the list has said is that we are going to auction this land if you don't pay your rates.
Yes, we are reminding you that this is yours. You have an obligation, you need to pay. If you're not interested in paying, maybe you're not interested in the land. But some people possibly don't even know. I will give you a very interesting anecdote. Some years ago, before I joined the county, when I was with a newspaper, I got a frantic call from a powerful cabinet secretary. Because at the time, the governor then, Dr. Evans Kidero, had placed such a similar advert in the newspapers. And everybody was combing through
and finding
names. And the minister called and, I need to see you very urgently. And so I said, oh, okay, I will come. And I went and saw him, and he said, what is this? I said, but this is a property under your name. He says, yeah, I can see my name, but... What is it? And I said, okay, can I check? So I went, I checked, and I came back to him, and I told him, oh, this is a piece of land you own near Strathmore, in Madaraka. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. Now I remember, I sold this property a long time ago. But apparently, the owner had not transferred it to himself. Now, why he was in a panic, is because the missus had told him, oh, so you have properties that I am not aware of.
Kumbe, you're playing games here.
No. So if you have properties that I'm not aware of, how do we know that you do not have another family probably staying in that? And that's why I was like, oh, this explains why this powerful man
was in a panic.
Was in a panic because you might be powerful in your office, but at home. So there are many people like that who probably don't know that they have something, or they had and they sold and they have not
the transfer was not completed.
So the purpose is to inform you and say, this is a list. Please go through it. These are your properties. If you have any dispute, raise it up. There are people that were land buying companies like Embakasi Ranching, where you can see their names. PTO page after page after page. It's because they have sold the properties to individuals, but they have not yet transferred. So these properties are still in the name of Embakasi Ranching. The same with NSSF in Tasia. Tasia still has a long list, and ideally they should be transferring this land to the buyers so that the buyer takes the responsibility. But now when they don't, then the obligation still lies with them.
Lies on them.
Yeah. So the whole purpose basically was to say, you have been warned. Don't say I didn't know. Here it is. Look, go through it. Find your property. If it's something you had sold, deal with the person you sold it to, and then we can then have a conversation after that, because for sure the enforcement will come. Otherwise, it becomes an endless threat.
Just a circus.
A circus that doesn't elicit anything.
Let's take a break. Charles Kerich is the Waziri in charge of finance and economic planning in the Nairobi City County Government. He's here with us talking to us about land and property owners in Nairobi who have hefty arrears on their land rates and why the county government is asking you to make sure that you talk to them, pay what you owe them. If you don't pay, then some action will be taken, which includes auction. You'll tell us what the law says, the entire procedure of what the law says. By the time you guys are going to auction somebody's land, I'm sure you have to tick several boxes. Let's discuss that after this break. 28 minutes to 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes, but then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning, and we're looking at 15 degrees. It's 14 and sunny in Nakuru and 15 and sunny in Nyeri. Eldoret is sunny at 13. We'll see highs of 24 and we'll see highs of 30 in a sunny Mombasa, currently at 25. It's 27 and sunny in Malindi. We'll see highs of 30. And into Kisumu, where it is sunny at 20, highs will be at 29. 28 will be the high in a partly sunny Kakamega at 18, and in Kampala is sunny at 21 with highs of 28. Dar es Salaam is sunny at 23, going to highs of 30, and we're looking into a clear Johannesburg at 9 degrees with highs of 22. Mogadishu is sunny at 28 with highs of 31, and Addis Ababa at 14 is sunny with highs of 26. Lagos clear at 26 with highs of 32, and looking into a partly cloudy Kinshasa at 26, going to highs of 33.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
All right, we're knocking on the door of traffic hour this morning and looking at it then starting to get really busy, coming off of the Thika Superhighway through towards Survey and then out towards Muranga Road. That's busy. It's going to be all on its own for a while. And also on Kiambu Road, we're looking at a lot more traffic then coming in from all the way from the DCI headquarters. Let's take a look back at the Thika Superhighway. Where traffic is coming in heavy all the way from Safari Park and inching along into the city today very slowly. Kangunda Road started really early and still is. There's a bit of traffic all along the northern bypass today, and some of that is seeping through towards Limuru Road. That's going to continue, and it's going to split some way through towards Westlands, Parklands, Limuru Road, and into the city. Ngong Road is also busy as you come through towards the junction, going towards Kingara Road as well as down Ngong Road. And looking at some traffic then coming in from Langata Road, touching on Timor, out towards Raila Odinga Way. Magadi Road, very busy today. Some of that will go towards Karen. The rest of it will go towards Langata Road. So we're into traffic hour proper. Okay, there's some major traffic going on Imaradaima. Not quite sure what's causing that. It's been that way for an hour or so. Let us know what's popping where you are. We'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
24 minutes to 8. Our conversation continues with the County Executive Committee member for Finance and Economic Planning in the Nairobi City County Government, Charles Kerich. So, on-source revenue in counties is a huge thing. We talk about it all the time. I mean, where is the county not raising enough revenue for itself? The targets for this year in Nairobi City County is on-source revenue of what? Was it 20 billion shillings? And this is a very, very high jump from the previous one. The actuals for the previous one, which was what, 11?
Last year we did 10.6.
10.6.
Yeah.
So now you're hoping to raise 20 billion shillings to run affairs in county. And one of the largest tickets for county revenue of Nairobi is land rates. And land rates, you use what you said is the valuation role. Now you have a new valuation role for Nairobi where you've classified various areas and you've said land in Upper Hill, an acre of land in Upper Hill, we value it at this. An acre of land in Huruma, we value it at this. In Kawangware, it's this much. In Kasarani is this amount. And then there is the rate track and say, so if you use this, then there's a percentage of the amount that of the value of the land that then you pay as land rates. And there are many, many property owners in Nairobi. From your lists, by estimation, how many properties are we talking about?
What we have in our valuation roll is 177.
177,000 properties.
The Ministry of Lands has about 285, meaning that there is another 100,000 properties that they have that we do not have.
That you have not captured.
And therefore we have begun a conversation with the Ministry of Lands for integration. Again, so that if there is any subdivision going on, as soon as it's done at the ministry, we get the information real time.
Right.
The whole idea also would then be to bring this other 100,000 into the roll and start charging them rates so that you meet your target without increasing
the rate,
burdening whoever is already compliant. You know, there's always a tendency to go for the easy money, which is to increase what people have been paying. So instead of doing that, why not widen the base by collecting more? So they say that Nairobi is a rich county that has chosen to remain poor. There was a study that was done by the Commission for Revenue Allocation, which put our revenue potential at 67 billion. We've been studying it, trying to find out exactly where it's coming from. But the highest revenue that was collected was in 2015-2016, which was 12.2 billion. This year, we want to overtake that. Like I told you, last year we did 10.6 billion, which was the highest in 6 years. As of today, we are already at about 11.4, and we have a whole month to go. And it requires a lot of concerted effort because, you know, you might be pushing land rates payments, but then there is something else that, you know, is being neglected. And that's why we are really trying to push our revenue collection to the ward level, not to do it from City Hall.
Right.
Because the ward is where the money is. So you empower the teams at the ward level because they know where every business is. Do you know the ward admin possibly has a small booklet that has listed where all the bars are, all the restaurants, everything.
Yep.
And that data is there, and we're saying, look, you guys, you have the data. You need to help us to collect this. So the land rate is usually the big ticket, but the style of the administration of Governor Sakaja has always been not to harass the mwananchi. And that's why he's really opposed to this thing of rungus chasing hawkers down. We've not had any tear gas with hawkers for the last 1.5 years. Neither with the Matatu people. And we sit at Charter Hall every time and they raise their issues. And then sometimes they realize the issues are amongst themselves. Because this big circle is fighting with a small circle, and they realize actually it's not even a county problem. So we then even come in to mediate. But that whole philosophy that help people pay as opposed to chasing them down is what we've been trying to pursue. And maybe that's why some people take advantage. But still, that's still how we want to continue. We will get down to serious enforcement. But those things of, people being arrested from their offices, bundled into a truck that was waiting downstairs, and then driven around town for the whole day, those things stopped. They did stop, and they did stop for good.
Right.
And it's genuine stopping. It's not for sure. Nobody can tell you that they saw a county vehicle outside their building picking people. And so the public also then needs to understand and reciprocate that where the obligation is on you, just play
then
your
do pay up. How much information is with the public? This 177,000 property owners or properties, their owners, are they aware of the rate that they ought to be paying in their area?
That's an interesting question. Everybody who owns a piece of land knows they are supposed to pay. Those guys who don't have land, that's not their interest. They are not the target audience. They wouldn't know. But the moment you've acquired a piece of land, of course you know that this is the value of the land, this is what needs to be paid. And I think before, there was a requirement that for you to transact anything on that land at the Ministry of Lands, the county had to give rates clearance certificate.
Yeah.
Now, that really helped in the past, because it would mean that if you want to subdivide, to transfer, to sell, to take a loan, the county had to give you a rates clearance certificate. And then the conversation arose from the national government about ease of doing business. And they said, look, this is a cumbersome process. Why don't we do away with it? So that disadvantaged the county, because the moment the national government stopped asking for rates clearance certificates from the county, then people stopped coming for those certificates and therefore stopped being compliant. So again, we have raised it with the PS for lands, Korir, and told him, look, we do not want to hamper the ease of doing business, but this is the impact that policy and directive is having on us.
Okay.
All you need to do is just tell somebody, we can even make the rates clearance a smooth, even free process. But the fact that you asked for it just ensures that you are compliant. And the conversation on revenue goes also hand in hand with the conversation on debt. As you have heard, counties have about 156 billion in pending bills. And guess who has the lion's share?
Nairobi.
107. And we sat this year and said, look, this thing has to come to an end. People have been kicking the can down the road every year. And a lot of these debts are owed to pension schemes like LAP Trust and LAP Fund. There's some money owed to KRA, to Kenya Power, and so on. And we just say, look, it's not healthy for these things not to be dealt with. Because the moment you're dealing with such huge pending bills, you don't even then sit to forecast and plan.
Yeah.
Because you're busy running away from people who are, trying to also auction you the way you're trying to auction them, Yeah. And so there's still a lot of conversation in land that will have to be had once we have managed to start dealing with this issue of land rates. One of them is something called, you've heard they passed the law on sectional properties.
That's where I was going.
So sectional property, or you want to?
I wanted to ask the question because there could be people who are not aware that they owe the county. Like you've said, for example, big land buying and land selling companies that have sold land to individuals, but they still are holding the mother title. So the mother title is in a certain big company, and the individual sectional owners are still not the actual owners of these pieces of property that they are in. Or even in the Sectional Properties Act, you've bought into an apartment, and now you're getting your own sectional titles, and then who knows who's the owner of the piece of land where you own a house on the 4th floor, an apartment on the 4th floor of this particular land. So how do you, that's why I asked the question of, is everybody aware that they have an obligation with the county government?
That's interesting, because you will find in every apartment block, there are those 3 guys who don't pay. People just know house number B2 and A7 are just problematic people, our Lipi, and you'll never miss them in any court. So what happens is, if you are on 1 acre, say on Riara Road, and you have 60 apartments, you see the rates that is charged on that piece of land is what I was telling you, called the undeveloped site value, meaning you're charged as if there is nothing on that property. So assuming you have 60 apartments, you need to pay 60,000, so they apportion and say everybody pay 1,000, so that we put it together and pay the county. You will find many people carry the burden for others, because some people just don't pay. But others want to be in good standing, so they take whatever was supposed to have gone to the garbage company and settle. Now, this Sectional Properties Act is very important, because, first of all, it gives you total ownership of your unit,
your apartment,
of your unit. You see, that land that I'm talking about in Riara Road could have been land owned by Unga Limited, for example, and then Unga sells it to Latiff developers, but has not transferred it to Latiff developers. Latiff developers has developed 60 apartments and sold to 60 individuals. Now, there is something known as reversionary interest, meaning this lease on this land is 60 years. When this 60 years ends, the land will revert to whoever's name is on the title.
Which is
if
Unga.
It is Unga, the land is going to Unga. Now, you guys, you own apartments. You think you own your apartment, but you have actually leased your apartment.
Right.
You have paid for it fully, your 15 million shillings in Kilimani, but you don't have the ownership. So normally what should happen is that Unga should transfer it to Latiff
developers.
Then Latiff developers should then own the lease and give the apartment owners sub-leases. But you find again, these Latiff developers wants to hold on to the ownership, so that
I can take a loan.
I want to take a loan on my unit. They'll tell you, okay, pay 100,000 for my signature. Why am I paying 100,000 for your signature and the property is mine? Or if you want to do anything with that property, you still have to go back to the management company. Now, this sectional properties basically says you have your own title, you pay your rates for it. If your neighbor hasn't paid, shauri yake. If you want to take a loan with your unit, you take it. Once the lease expires, it comes back to you. So first of all, it's a really good thing in terms of ownership, because there are very notorious developers in this town who sell the units and then refuse to hand over. And they continue collecting service charge and so on. I know one who was supposed to build a swimming pool as part of the package. He's collected the money, he doesn't want to pay. So, you start fights with somebody, and some people just want peace. So they don't get into those fights. But when that sectional properties is fully rolled out, again, the revenue will significantly go up without burdening anybody. And then you can then have another conversation, Eric, which I have not heard being discussed, known as value capture. Let me just, in one sentence, try and explain what all that is all about. So you have your 1 acre in Upper Hill.
Yes.
On that 1 acre stands UAP Towers with its entire 50 stories, paying the same as this 1 acre next door that has nothing. But every floor of this building has people using the sewage system, the water system, the road network. You are not going to subdivide this 1 acre, but you could then capture the value of each floor. so that every owner of every floor then pays rates as well. And that's why I'm telling you, land rates is a big game changer. And that is why London just has too much money.
Sure.
Because you don't just pay on the undeveloped site value the way we've been doing. But these things have to be done progressively. You can't bombard people with land rates together with sectional property together with value capture. It's too much.
For those of you say can't pay, won't pay, the issue here is that whether land is lying fallow or whether land has been developed, that there is the responsibility of paying these rates, because then it allows the county to do 1, 2, 3. Is it not? So it doesn't matter whether you've developed your land or whether it's there, you're waiting for whatever happens.
You're supposed to pay.
You're supposed to pay the rates. All right.
There are people who evade even paying for parking,
This is true.
So they will park and then they say, just watch the car.
Yeah, I'll be back in a flat.
So it's human nature.
Yeah.
For some people, it's just their character.
Okay, let's look at the numbers now, Charles. And are we saying essentially, okay, or rather, what are we saying here? That if this whole list that has been published the other day, if those monies are paid, what are we looking at in terms of shillings and cents that the county would then be able to collect? 50% even.
The number is astronomical.
Tell us.
But I tend to believe, just like I was introducing the issue of life forms, that some of it has interest and penalties that have repeated themselves over time. And if you just scientifically look at the 177,000 and levy, we'd probably be talking about 15 billion.
Okay.
Not the 1 trillion people are talking about. It doesn't exist. But 15 billion would be more of a realistic principal amount, assuming people will take advantage of the waiver for interest and penalties.
And that covers the year 2023, 2024.
Yes.
That comes to an end in about a month or so.
Yes.
Okay. Are you able to make a direct connect between money that has been collected for land rates and services then that are being provided to the county? Because what you've said is that the collection of land rates then enables the county to do certain things, right? Infrastructure maintenance, infrastructure development, making sure that water is running. That could be, laughable for some people in certain areas. But are you able to connect between the collection of these rates and the provision of these services in the county, let's say, over the last 1 year? That I collected 1,000 shillings in land rates, and because of this 1,000 shillings that I collected, in the county we have done 1, 2, 3.
There has been a lot of development and progress done. But let me be clear that in government, we do what is called program-based budgeting. Meaning you don't separate the money and say this money from land rates is what will build this road.
Okay.
All the money has to go to what is called the county revenue fund, which is in a bank account in central bank. So you collect money from all over, from quarries and so on, and put it into one basket. Then you do what is known as the program-based budgeting. So the budget then is wholesome. You might find, for example, that land rates is responsible for bringing maybe even 30% of all the revenue to the county, yet the land sector is not getting adequate allocation. And that's always a debate, because people are saying, but we are the goose that lays the golden egg. How comes? And you say, okay, but we need this because some other essential services like health and education don't generate any revenue, but they consume a lot of money. And you cannot say, therefore, because education doesn't produce any money, therefore we don't spend money on education. So that program-based budgeting then means that you put everything in a basket and then you budget for it from there. But now that you mentioned water, that's a very interesting thing that we need to have a conversation about. Number one, the county was very instrumental in setting the water infrastructure system from the 70s and the 80s. And I think the turning point for water service delivery in Nairobi, first of all, came during, there was a period where there was just no infrastructure development for decades. And, the population grew. There are areas that became settlements. The whole of Ruai The whole of, have you heard of a place called Mihango? There is no single water pipe down there. Then, Waziri Charity Ngilu, Minister for Water, brought the Water Act, which went through Parliament. That Water Act transferred all the responsibility from local government to the national government for infrastructure development. So what that meant also is when the county governments were formed, Nairobi County has a water company that's quite efficient, I must say, but cannot do infrastructure projects. Why? Because the Water Act has decided that this project will be done by the national government. National government has formed a body called Earthy Water. So Earthy Water then decides what infrastructure projects to do. When there is no water in the pipe, nobody knows about Earthy Water. They just say the governor has not provided water. But the infrastructure responsibility had moved to Earthy Water. Earthy Water designs projects, goes and takes a loan from Africa Development Bank or whoever, implements the loan. Part of the loan funding has to do with project vehicles, so they have all these nice brand new Prados. Nairobi Water at the end has to come and pay for that loan. Yet they are in some rickety vehicles. And, it's such an unfair arrangement. So you have this Water Act that has created a myriad of bodies called Water Services Trust Fund. Another one, WASREB, Water Services Regulatory Board. Another one, WSTF, Warma, who all of them are stretching their hand saying you need to pay us a percentage of your money. This one wants money for abstraction. This one wants money for what. Now you have like 6 parastatals that are leaching
from the water company.
So the water company thinks, if I have 1 billion shillings, would I rather lay pipes in Mihango where there are no pipes or distribute it among these parastatals? And I think we really need to review that Water Act. Now we are beginning to see some loosening where the Nairobi Water is beginning to negotiate to do some projects because they know where the need is. They are the ones that are in every part of the city. So I think we managed to push because you have heard of something called the Northern Collector Tunnel. It's a national government project to provide money, to provide water for Nairobi. But nobody is pushing it. So now the county government, through the governor, has to then go to the president and say, either finish this thing or hand it to us. Because when there is no water, the flack is on us. The public doesn't know that it's not us that doesn't do the infrastructure work. It's by the national government. But I think if that Water Act can be reviewed, let the local authorities have the responsibility of doing their infrastructure. There's really no reason why you have formed something called Earthy Water just to come and do sewerage systems. The same thing that the water company can do. I know that there are counties like Murang'a that have very many water companies. But in Nairobi, you have only one, which is well regulated and so on. That one has 6, 7 different water companies. Therefore, you can then maybe make a case there. But here,
you have one.
It's really
maybe we should
important.
Break it down.
So once we do that Northern Collector, we're now even designing Northern Collector 2 tunnel, which will go with the construction of a new dam called Maragua Dam. All these dams that Nairobi is using now were built by the council then, not by the national government, by the local authority. So it can be done. But if people think that they don't have water because the county is asleep, no, it's the national government that needs to let go of some of these responsibilities. Water is devolved in the constitution. There's no reason why they should be holding on to it. Just to answer your question.
That's a big one. You will come another time. Let's discuss that. And also, before the end of this financial year, we'd like to invite you again to talk about how you've performed budget-wise. I remember having this conversation with you at the beginning of the budget where you talked about, your budget projections, your revenue projections, 20 billion shilling also as revenue. You've now told us you're likely to close at 12 billion shillings. So what happens to the 8 billion shillings deficit? Have you already allocated it to spending, and is it now creating a new wave of pending bills of money that you budgeted for, you committed to spending, and you didn't have the money? We'll talk about that before the end of this financial year, right?
Great, thank you.
Charles Kerich is the County Executive Committee member for Finance and Economic Planning in the Nairobi City County Government. It's 8 a.m. Time for the news.
Spice up your life.
It's now 8 a.m. Get effective relief from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Relief starts here.
The Newswire, I'm Leah Ubaga. Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers Chairman Okoh Milemba has said that the Teacher Service Commission is legally required to employ teachers on permanent terms and not on contract. Milemba has also called on the National Assembly to approve the budget for funds meant to see junior secondary school teachers hired, as their go-slow has adversely affected learning across junior secondary school institutions.
Kuna jambo la walimu ambao wako kwa ile shule inaitwa KS. Na mimi naongea na wabunge na viongozi wenzao. Lazima tunachukua jukumu ya kusaidia junior secondary school. Junior secondary school haina walimu. Wale walimu walioko wengine wako kwa barabara wanatoka. Sawa sawa? Na pia hata ni wawili kwa kila darasa. Sasa saa hizi tunatengeneza bajeti. Pale bunge nataka tusaidiane, ili hata kama ni kuvunja project moja, wenda kama ni damu mahali, barabara mahali, ama nini mahali, ili tuweze kupata pesa za kulipa walimu wa KS, ili watoto wetu ambao wako junior secondary wasiharibike.
The drift between Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and President William Ruto's allies continues to grow wider, even as allegations have emerged that there are plans to cut down the budget allocated to the DP's office by a whole 25%. Kirinyaga Senator Kamau Murango claims that the budget of 70 million shillings meant for rice fields in Muga area has been removed, as well as the budget to deal with reforms in the tea sector has not been included in the estimate, even though the government has said it will be included in the additional budget. This event comes as during the weekend Gachagua criticized some of the president's allies for practicing alley politics aimed at dividing the Mount Kenya region.
Let us leaders here a few, and there are few people who have proximity to the president. Wamefura, wamekuwa na kiburi mingi, wanafikiria ati sasa wamefika, wanaweza kuja mlima ati wapange viongozi ya mlima. Sisi hatuwezi panga viongozi ya bonde la ufa, lazima tuheshimu nyinyi.
However, yesterday some of the president's allies led by Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi told of Gachagua, saying his remarks were aimed at promoting regional and ethnic politics.
Wewe ukiwa kiongozi huko juu, kuwa kiongozi wa kushikanisha viongozi, kuwa kiongozi wa kunacha viongozi wadogo, usiwe kiongozi ukiona mtu anataka kutokea pale unataka uongee kitu. Hapana. Sisi wote tukiomba kura hii ya Kenya Kwanza, tulisumuka tukiwa tukubwa, tukianzia akina Waiguru, akina Ndindi Nyoro, akina Ishungwa, akina Moses Kuria, watu wengi. Lakini leo tuko na viongozi wawili wanatuongoza. Tuko na William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Hii maneno mengine ya vitina hii tunaona hapa, sijui nani anafanya nini. Na William Ruto, hakuna mtu anabebea William Ruto akili. William Ruto ako na akili yake. Hakuna siku zote anazarubia William Ruto akili. Tafadhali tuheshimiane na tufanye kazi na tuache kuunganisha wananchi.
Some MPs in the Western region have asked Speaker of the National Assembly Moses Wetangula to consider running for presidency in the 2032 general elections. Speaking in Luanda constituency, more than the 20 MPs have said that Wetangula is fit to be the president and leader of the Mulembe community.
Sisi kama wabunge kutoka hapa Western, kutoka Luyaland, tunakuunga mkono ili wewe uendelee kuunganisha sisi kama Waluya. Na mimi naona kwa hii ya Western, hii ya Western region ya kuunganisha jamii ya Western, mimi naona Wetangula anachukua kikombe. Ama mnasemaje jamii? Kama 2032 tutoe kiongozi mmoja ambaye sio mwingine ila ni Wetangula kwenda kuchukua kiti ya nafasi ya State House, ambayo akuwe Mluya wa kwanza kuingia State House kwa jina Moses Masiga Wetangula.
However, Wetangula has asked the Mulembe community to remain united if they intend to win the presidency.
Niko tayari kufanyia kazi, kushirikiana na kila mtu, viongozi wote, hata wakiwa vyama gani, kusaidiana na wananchi, tukijua ya kwamba for us to make a difference we must work together. For us to make a difference we must go out there and talk to other people. Huyo mmera amewaambia hata tukipata kura ya Waluhya 100% in one basket, bila wengine lazima tuende hapa kwa jirani zetu wa Jaluo, tushirikiane, twende Rift Valley, tushirikiane, twende Central, tushirikiane, kila mahali ndio tuweze kunawiri.
That's the news wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Few minutes after 8 o'clock, traffic continuing in the city. We are in the middle of traffic hour. Quite a lot of that coming off of the Eastern Bypass. In and outbound traffic is snaking its way through towards the Embakasi Loop, heading out then towards Outer Ring. It's also very, very heavy still at Imara Daima. What on earth is going on? It's heavy traffic inbound, and that's seeping all the way through towards General Motors. Not quite sure what's going on there, but knock on wood, guys. Let us know what's happening here. If you're approaching that area, not quite sure, we don't know it as well. On the Thika Superhighway, it's heavy coming in all the way from Kasarani out towards the underpass and then through towards Ngara. And then on Muranga Road, we're looking at the Globe Cinema roundabout, very, very heavy with traffic. It's heavy on Wayaki Way. Also looking at Limuru Road, connecting from the Northern Bypass. Everywhere you look today, there seems to be a spot of traffic. How about we talk on Spice FM? KEONX hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8 after 8, how are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. 27th day of May 2024. You've heard from Charles. He says, you know what, we are owed a lot of money by people who own properties in this city. We just want to collect. What would there be people who do not want to pay? There are people who are like that. Yeah, like he gave that example of there are people who you live with them in a court, in an estate, and you all agree, you know, we're going to be paying X amount of money, service charge, so that we can sort out security, garbage, and this and the other. And there are people who just don't pay.
Not because they can't, just because they won't.
You just won't pay. And then there are many. There are also people who don't know. There are people who probably you've bought an apartment. You have transacted, you know you own an apartment in a certain block, like he gave us an example, let's say on Riara Road. So you bought an apartment on Riara Road, you live in it or you've rented it out. You don't know land rates and all those issues. You just don't know. You know, we assume that people know. People see this waiver thing, they're like, okay, waiver, blah, 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 Nairobi. You don't connect yourself to it. Just don't, like, okay. I've never been told about land rates, so it's not me. I bought my piece of land and I paid excise duty and all.
And that's why I asked the question that I did, Eric, because you'd be surprised. These land rates, when you see them, when you see a billboard in the middle of the city or you see it in the paper, you would never imagine that it is attached to you in any way, shape, or form, even if you own a piece of land. Land rates, okay, those are for some other people. Maybe they have something else that they're doing.
The CBD.
commercial property, those are the ones who are dealing with those things. We'd be surprised that people act. It's not for, and I think that a lot of this we can chalk it up to lack of knowledge in terms of actually what is required of you should you own a piece of property in the city or anywhere else for that matter.
Especially now when people are buying, all those things. You're buying an apartment, you're buying, in a big area, so where you're getting a sublease. So you get that sublease and you assume that I got a sublease, my obligation is just to be paying some service charge here and there to sort out watchmen. So you're arguing, at a security company, I don't like it, I'm not going to pay. They didn't open for me, they were asleep, I hooked it 3 times, all those kind of things. But you don't actually know that there's an obligation on the title that is the land on which you actually own this property.
Well, that's if your obligation, if your obligation is annual.
There are those who know, but they subscribe to the culture of simply not paying. It's impunity.
It is.
Yes, and if push comes to shove, they'll find someone to give a little money and then they will not pay. They simply will not pay. It's not that they don't know they should pay. They know they should pay, but they will not pay.
It is true. It's true.
Yep, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. We are going to be hosting the governor of Mombasa County next because of what's happening in that county. All right. He is on his way. He'll be here shortly. He'll be in the studio shortly. And once he joins, we'll have this conversation with him, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir. So what's happened around those counties? Let me tell you this story of, it's in page 3 of The Nation today. Farmers in Embu have vowed to fight the ban on Mogoka business in Mombasa and Kilifi, and calls by leaders in Coast for 4 other counties or for other counties in the region to follow suit. On Saturday, Embu Deputy Governor Kenyo Okoh and the woman rep Njoki Njeru led local residents in a demonstration in Embu town, causing a major traffic snarl-up. They criticized the Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir over the decision, saying they were not consulted to give their views before the ban was imposed. This is what the woman rep, Ms. Njeru, said. It's unfair for Mombasa to ban the sale of Mogoka, which is a cash crop that locals depend on for survival. Growing and selling of Mogoka is a legal business, and the position taken in Mombasa is illegal. A farmer, Samuel Gitonga, lamented that they would not survive without the trade. The decision will kill our livelihoods. We shall continue taking to the street until the ban is revoked. Mombasa is the largest market for Mogoka nationally. The governor of Mombasa has ordered the closure of all Mogoka outlets and in the region, and directed county officials to enforce this directive with immediately effect. By the authority vested in me by the Constitution and existing laws, hereby I order and direct that there be a total prohibition of the entry, transportation and use of Mogoka and its products within Mombasa County, he said. He explained that he had made the decision after considering the sentiments of the residents during a public participation exercise and consulting the National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug and Alcohol Abuse. So this is it. It started in Mombasa. It went into Kilifi. Those in Kwale said, okay, we're imposing higher taxes so we can discourage Mogoka in our county. Over the weekend, then, we have seen Taita Taveta has said also, we are also doing the same thing, banning entry, transportation, sale of Mogoka. The governor of Mombasa is here with us. 001, like that. Suit your jacket. Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, good morning.
Morning to you. How are you guys?
Very well. Good to have you back. You're doing well. Twice in the same quarter this time.
Tunajaribu. We're trying. As always, it's good to be here. Clear the air on a few issues. I always get told, I was always taught this, that when you cause many ripples, it means you're doing the right thing.
Okay.
So, cause many ripples, you're a big stone.
Or a quick small one.
The fact that we've caused the ripples. I heard. When I came in, I saw you reading the newspaper where the local leadership. By the way, I don't blame the local leadership for taking such a hard stand. The local leadership in Embu. But this conversation did not start yesterday or the day before.
It's a long one.
It's a very, very
We'll get into the details shortly.
Conversation.
Karibu sana. First of all, I'm sure as a county government, you've told everybody who supplies you with goods or services that when they invoice you, they must give you a carry invoice.
Yes.
Right? And those that have been doing so with the VAT registered, and even those that are not VAT registered now, they must give you the Teams invoice, e-Teams invoice. So City, hebu ambie watu wa Mombasa tafadhali ambao wanafanya kazi na county ya Mombasa, how do they generate an e-Teams invoice?
Yes, ukitaka kulipwa kama una haja ya pesa
kama ufanye kazi ya bure.
Yes, exactly. Mpangilio sio ngumu vile. *222#. Okay? That's all you need to do. You will enter into this platform and you'll be given the choices of what to bonyeza. Choose KRA. Once you do that, you will then be given a platform where you now want to fill in details for the invoice. Kitu muhimu ni PIN number ya yule ambao unataka kumtumia invoice. Once you've entered that in, you then have an option either to send the invoice or get it printed out.
Yes.
It's not complicated. It's as simple as that, but you will be e-Teams compliant.
Kabisa.
Yes.
And you will then be able to have your payment processed.
Yes.
By the county of Mombasa.
By the way, I don't mean to intrude in that particular one, but I want to reconfirm that is not only the situation, but then also a failure for you to be able to comply with that. However much hard we try, the control of budget is going to start getting stuck, and it's actually been a challenge on our part, and I'm glad that you guys are actually taking the initiative to push this narrative.
Asante. So hupendi majani inaitwa mugoka, sisi tunapenda majani chai.
Kapsa.
So we're welcoming you here with the majani chai called Assis. You see this one? Assis is Kenyan tea. Assis is Kalenjin word for sun. See the sun there? Yeah. So this is actually grown, harvested, and packed in Kenya, in Olenguruoni, in some 2,300 acres of Kaptagich tea estates, where they have that, and they have another 1,200 acres where they've just put up vegetation and trees. Okay? Beautiful, beautiful piece of land, beautiful tea. They pick it, they pack it, and that's why CT is welcoming you.
Thank you very much.
With Majani Chai. Assis Premium.
I just want to confirm that I've received it.
Yes.
Thank you.
In this country, you must always be sure.
You will never know.
Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Walisema umenipatia chai kumbe.
Kumbe, bwana we.
Kumbe ndani kulikuwa makaratasi.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Now give the governor the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Republic of Zimbabwe. Proverb: you should try things. That's how it starts. You really should try things. A grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup.
You should try things.
You should try things.
A grandmother from Chivi. Chivi must be a place in...
It's a place in Zimbabwe.
In Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Or maybe Chivi is Kenya.
Yes.
A grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup.
I'm assuming that Chivi is a place that has the mountains, the ones that actually have salt in them and a bit of minerals. And the fact that everyone said you're just not going to be able to do it, you're wasting your time, and she did what needs to be done.
You should try things.
You should try things.
This grandmother reminds me of Mombasa. We try things.
It's interesting. I just saw that Chivi is a place that is hardest hit by food insecurity in Zimbabwe.
It's a dry. It's dry. It's a dry.
It's desolate.
Hunger-stricken part of Zimbabwe. Okay. So a grandmother from here had nothing else to cook, and she was looking at her family and wondering, okay, so what do I do? She picked the stones, which is what was available. She cooked it. There was a story about the similar thing happening in Mombasa during COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A mother of somewhere in Mombasa cooked stones and got soup.
To give the illusion that she was cooking.
That she was cooking.
Kids could eat.
Yeah. So, Governor, Shida, and you're calling it Mogoka, is a big drug problem in Mombasa. What's the genesis of this?
2 months after I got elected, I stirred the waters by doing exactly. All this happens because of financial matters. I stirred the waters by increasing the cess fees. And I got a whole hue and cry from every single person made me now be able to sit down with these gentlemen and ladies. This is 2 months after I got elected. I read out to them what the regulations of MIRA say. I told them, these are the way the regulations are. Please, you cannot be able to sell near schools. You cannot be able to just transport the way you want to transport them unless we give you a specific license. Please do not go and do all this. True to their word, everyone said an oath that we're definitely going to be able to comply. We're going to do everything that needs to be done. Very recently, we set the waters again, because again, no one listens. And this time round, true to their word, every single person came over to me. I mean, everyone came and said, Governor, what you're doing, is hurting us. We're going to be able to comply. We're going to do everything. I got in a team. The mayor leadership came in and we proposed. I took 2 names of locals from there. Then I took 2 names as well from the people from Embu. I said, look, these are the places that are actually selling. Please, these are your kinsmen. Give them notice. You cannot be able to sell to children. You cannot expose our children to all this. Started playing Mickey Mouse games. These guys feel that, no, it's all right. This is another day that we're just going to be able to talk and talk and talk. And this is another day where everything is just going to be left to be idle. They did exactly that. Give an enforcement notice. Please close down this area. Please do not sell to our children. A week or so passes, and exactly the same places are still selling to our children. And let me tell you where the problem is. When you have a product where 3 children or 2 children can be able to get their lunch pocket money and access that product easily, that's a challenge. The conversation of the effect on Mogoka on our children has not begun during my tenure. It just took someone to say that, look, I'm pressing the red button and enough is enough. There's been so much stereotype out there that the major problem in Mombasa is cocaine and heroin, which, by the way, we don't have a cocaine problem per se as a cocaine problem. The problem had always been heroin. But now this has even surpassed heroin.
Mogoka has surpassed heroin?
Oh, yes.
In terms of its use? Because what are we talking about here?
In terms of use, in terms of people who've been affected. And I'm not giving you figures that are just based from my imagination. I'm giving you figures based on institutions that are there. This is a report that was done in 2019 by the Assembly of Mombasa. I was not even a governor yet. Look at how vicious this product has now ended up being into our children. A product that is in the year 2019. One of the issues that was asked, relative accessibility to the use of Mogoka. 32.6% of those between 11 to 18 years said it was extremely easy to be able to get Mogoka for them. 19 to 30 years, 43.1% of them indicated how easy it is for them to be able to get Mogoka. Those who have actually used Mogoka, this is 2019, who started using Mogoka then, 10 years and below, a decent 20+% of these young people who were interviewed then actually confirmed on all this. You don't even go there. It even gives you, this is a detailed report that was done with the help of NACADA. It was with the help of the Public Health and Medical Services, the Directorate of Liquor in Mombasa. I was not even a governor yet. So this problem, the genesis of this problem is that it has started going on, it started getting into society from a very, very long time ago. Look at the figures that are there. Now, allow me just to go through my phone because I didn't print these particular documents, but I want to go through these particular details here. When you look at the likes of Mewa, which is basically a rehab center and a place where they do psychiatric. And you look at the figures of the amount of people who have been admitted over the years, courtesy of Mogoka. The figures are now becoming more and more profound. So let's leave Mewa aside. Then you go to the second one. This is the Portrees Hospital, which is our own county facility. I get into the county facility. This was about last Sunday. 70 out of the 45 people have been admitted. 45 out of the 70 people who are currently admitted, are all using Mogoka. And it's one way or another related to Mogoka. You go to Mombasa.
Why are they admitted?
Psychiatric problems. You know, you're giving Mogoka to a child. Over the years, they continuously use it. This is causing a problem. And you know, people tend to believe, and this stereotype of taking us as if we're zombies who are just, no, you guys are not Mogoka. Stop speaking about us if you don't know us. We're going to speak our own story. We're going to tell it the way it is. And the way it is that this product is affecting us.
So again,
and
Governor,
the way it is that the traders who are milking from the blood of our people are being insensitive. The fact remains, I sat down with these people. The fact remains, I pleaded with them, stop selling this product to our people. Stop selling it to our children more so. But that's where their daily money comes in. That's where they're getting their daily amounts, you know. And I'm hearing that it's a product that is bringing in 22 billion, where Mombasa is the largest consumer of this product. So by largest, I'm assuming what? We're doing, I don't know, 30-40% of this product? 30% or 40% of this product, a product that is cheaper than sukuma, a product that is cheaper than a boiled egg, a product that is easily available than a ballpoint pen, a product that is being sold outside our schools, a product that has now become associated that it is totally okay for a child to be able to use this. Someone had to come in and step in.
What are we looking at here, Governor? And I think that remains an overarching question here. That really, what are the effects of this? Because it has been already, from what I understand, classified as a drug, right? Through which there are there are properties that would then lead towards addiction. But then, what are the effects that we're talking about? If we talk about heroin, which you've admittedly said here is an issue in Mombasa, if we talk about cocaine, if we talk about the other drugs that when we hear them, we know what the effects are. Highly addictive, can cause hallucinations, would then take you towards the steps of some kind of psychiatric issue. What are the effects of this Mogoka that we're talking about that is so worrying, that's getting us to the point whereby
our people are getting mad. We're having a problem with anxiety.
Mad when we say we're not
mental cases.
Okay.
We're getting a problem with young people not getting involved in school anymore.
Okay.
We're getting young people who are becoming more and more. You know, when you have, that's where the word dopamine effect comes in. When you take something and it makes you get that feel-good effect, the products that are in this make you feel that. And the time that you now stop using it, anger issues come in. This is a society issue. I lead people. I do not lead stones. I govern people. Those people are being affected by this product. And again, I'm stating this, and I always say this to any particular person, any media house. I want to give you figures. In 2021, we had about 105 people who were taken to the Mombasa Women Empowerment Network, which is a place where they do rehabilitation and they do psychiatric help for addicts. Then when you go to the year 2022, 115, 2023, 185. We're in the year 2024. We've not even reached mid-year. These are just people who've been admitted on Mogoka related. Not heroin, nothing else. And by the way, they're surpassing heroin. And that's why I'm saying it's time for us to tell our own narrative. I'm tired of, and I will stop it, this stereotype of being told that, no, you guys are zombies because of heroin. No, we are not. In fact, we've made leaps in trying to be able to clear ourselves from this menace. And I'll not be the one during my time I'm going to see, and we are not going to be statistical reminders of what happens when leadership does not take charge.
I want to ask a couple of
2024, we already have 169 people who've been taken to this institution. 169 versus 185 of last year. We're already surpassing what the amount of patients who are admitted in just one facility last year, and we are just halfway through it. Guess what? The younger generation that is getting more and more affected, the figures are not even climbing in a gradual manner. The figures are literally skyrocketing.
Numbers. Governor, 105 people in 2021, increased that by 10 in 2022, 115, increased that by 70 in 2023, 185. Already in the first five months of the year, we are at 170. This is and this is just one facility. You're saying Mombasa
this is just one facility.
Network.
And by the way, Eric,
so in this network, in this facility, just tell us about this facility. Who is in this facility? Who's brought to this facility? And what happens here? Do we have
the ones who actually sent? This is just one facility. This is one facility. It's actually a more community based facility. This is one of we have three centers that people are taking for rehab. Sorry, actually Nakada. I'm even going to give you figures from Nakada. If you don't believe the one that is run by the county, you don't believe the ones that is run by the community, then there's the one that is run by the national government as well. Every single one of these are telling you a horrific story of the net effects of Mogoka.
I want to ask the specific question, Governor, if you allow me, before we take this break. In this facility, let's say the Mombasa Women Empowerment Network, who is here, who's brought here, and what condition? How does somebody end up in this facility?
You know, when people start experiencing and they give these levels of... when you try and deny your body sleep, you try and you're continuously consuming something that eventually leads you to getting into depression. When you continuously abuse a substance, when a young person is growing, they're more vulnerable. Their systems are not fully developed yet. This is something that has now attacked our younger generation. And I'm telling you, I refuse for someone else to speak on our behalf.
Hold on, Governor. Just specifically, so what happens? How does somebody end up in this facility?
Their families take them there.
Why? What happens? What do they exhibit?
Of course, they exhibit mental issues. Some of them exhibit the fact that they have addiction problems. And, these figures that I'm giving you, these figures I'm giving you.
And give you the effects. I'm going to read this, okay? There are three types of effects. Ocular, to do with your sight. Blurred vision, mydriasis. Then the central nervous system. That's the second category. Dizziness, impaired cognitive functioning, fine tremor, insomnia, headaches. Lastly, psychiatric effects, lethargy, irritability, anorexia, psychotic reaction, depressive reactions, hallucinations.
Effects of
Mogoka. These are the effects that it has. It's been categorized as to what it is that it has and how it manifests itself. The things that I have read are what you see in a person who consumes this, and they're in all these phases.
So they end up now in this facility because they have...
It starts with blurred vision, and then you have dizziness,
mental instability.
Then, and in the end, you start hallucinating, you have depressive reactions, you have psychotic reactions. That is now what you see. Yes.
Let's take a break. Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir is our guest this morning. He's the governor of Mombasa. He was the first one to issue an executive order banning transportation, sale of Mogoka in his county. This has then gone on into Kilifi County, into Taita Taveta County. What's the conversation? The people of Embu are up in arms and they're saying, surely, we grow this, it's our source of livelihood. What is Mombasa doing? Why is Mombasa banning Mogoka? Why are the other counties not raising issues? We want to understand this. Keep it here.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The man who looks at a beautiful girl and doesn't talk to her will end up serving lunch at her wedding.
Aya, City, do like that.
My father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man?
Ameua panya.
Small mammal, big mammal.
Mtu atamshinda.
What are they saying? How are we comparison? I mean, you kill a mouse.
What are they saying?
What they're saying is, my father has killed a mouse. Will he fail to kill a man? Name, surprise. Someone's name.
The name surprised you?
No, the name is surprise.
No, what am I saying? I'm from Nigeria, man. I met somebody called I Believe. So
See?
Your name is I Believe? Yes, my name is I Believe. But that's the short form. I said, excuse me? He said, yes, my name is I Believe. So what's the full name? I believe in the goodness of
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
The sun is up in Nairobi. It's 17 degrees, and we're looking at 17 and sunny in Nakuru. It's sunny at 17 as well in Nyeri, and 15 and sunny in Eldoret. At 25, Mombasa will be sunny for most parts of Monday with highs of 30, and we'll see highs of 30 as well. In a sunny Malindi at 29. It's sunny at 22 in Kisumu with highs of 29, and Kakamega at 21 is sunny, going to highs of 29. Kampala at 22, sunny with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam will go to highs of 31, currently sunny at 24. 11 degrees and sunny in Johannesburg with highs of 22, while at 29 Mogadishu, sunny going to highs of 32, and 19 in Addis with highs of 26. Lagos is sunny at 26 with highs of 32, and we'll see sunny conditions going into cloudy conditions in Kinshasa at 25 with highs of 33.
SpiceFM, Malindi.
All right, let's take a quick look at what's going on right around the Maradima. That has been messy all morning. Still not yet knowing the cause of that. All indications that there was an accident there, and that's what's caused that traffic that's seeping on towards the whole General Motors area very slowly this morning. So there's a lot of traffic there as well. Still continues coming off the Thika Superhighway as you come through towards Survey. And most parts of your city, the dot of traffic continues. Going on to Raila Odinga Way, there's some traffic, and it'll take us through towards the City Mortuary roundabout and then into the CBD. The Eastern Bypass. So this is all this mess that's going on here. Eastern Bypass inbound, touching a bit on Cabanas. With that traffic coming in from General Motors, everything slows down quite some. We're still in traffic hour. How about you talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
20 minutes to 9, our conversation continues with the governor of Mombasa, Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir. Mogoka is a big issue in Mombasa, and the governor has said absolutely no way. No more transportation of Mogoka into Mombasa or within Mombasa. No more selling of Mogoka anywhere. within the boundaries of Mombasa County. And what's the big issue? The big issue here, like the governor is telling us, is it's not just a new one. It started many years before. In 2019, for example, the County Assembly of Mombasa actually did a study on the effects of this particular, what do you call it, a leaf? Right?
Yeah, it's a leaf.
Herb. Okay. On this particular thing that's being consumed in the county, and they came up with huge figures. There was serious access of mogoka to children who are below 10, and even those who are between the ages of 11 and 18 years who should be in school were chewing this thing because it was extremely easy for them to access it. The governor says he went to several facilities over the weekend, last weekend, not this one. And for example, in Port Reitz, the 45 out of the 70 people admitted there are admitted because they have, side effects of chewing mogoka. It's a huge number.
Mogoka dependency, I think that's very big.
45 out of the 70 people admitted to a facility.
By the way, this 2019 report that was done, the recommendation that is done then, 2019, a ban imposed. The recommendations, the first recommendation that was done is a ban needs to be imposed on mogoka use in Mombasa County.
It was a county assembly in 2019.
This is 2019. I'm telling you, this has been something that has been just there. People look at us. These young people that people, it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate, and I'm always going to use this as an example, and it's my responsibility to speak it out the way it is. These young people who we are told holding these knives and everything else, that's not the effect of heroin. That is not the effect of heroin. The effect of heroin is the direct opposite. That actually, majority of those people, this is an effect of use of mogoka. Then on top of it as well, they take this what is meant to be prescribed pill that is meant to be for purposes of fighting depression. So on one part you're taking something that is causing you the depression, on the other part you're taking something that is, and when you do that, you become, that's when you hear that someone becomes exactly. This is a tablet that is available in pharmacies, and we're asking the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to do an analysis of the people who are actually importing, because this is not a product that is made in Kenya. I have no authority as the governor to be able to look at the Pharmacy and Poisons Board and start saying, but we're actually going to start this conversation with our members of parliament where they need to do an analysis of all these psychotic tablets. Who are the people who are buying them? Which pharmacy buys these tablets at the highest? Does the consumption of those tablets correlate? Who are these doctors who are issuing these prescriptions? And if those prescriptions are not being issued, the facilities that are selling them, that is the only way we can be able to curb that particular menace. And it is something that we, as the county government, are going to take it up with our leaders from the National Assembly and the Senate, that they need to be able to start this conversation, to call in someone, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. They need to do an audit. You can't have something that is being consumed by people for purposes of giving them a kick and a high, for purpose of making them feel like they're angels, that they cannot be touched. But what I can do, I can be able to stop this particular stimulant, which by the way, me, I'm not even going to, I'm not a doctor, but I'll tell you one thing. I want to read out reports that were actually done. These were reports that were reported by the Standard Media. We have no doubt that the Standard Media does excellent reporting. This is a report that was done 8 years ago. A story. Consumption of miraa affects the sexual capability of men and could lead to heart attack, a new study has revealed. The study by lecturers from Moi University, which was commissioned by the government last year, also revealed that the plant affects the mortality of sperms. This emerged when scientists asked to study the effect of the plant released the report in Great Rift Valley Lodge in Naivasha. This is not even my story. This was done 8 years ago, the difference between Mira and Mogoka, because I know that is the next question that I'm going to be asked.
Yes.
Why Mogoka, why not Mira? I will make a decision based on an informed perspective. Every single facility that is there, we did our own. Once I became governor, I wanted to find out what is the issue that is affecting our children. So I set out my education department to sit down with our health department, psychiatrists, reach out to children from areas that majority of people perceive to be troubled. About 11,000 and something girls, 11,000 and something boys as well were interviewed. Now, guess what is another common denominator? Why are you causing problems? What is it that is making you this way? And one of those common denominators is Mogoka and its easy availability.
You know, one of the things, Your Excellency, that is, those who've researched this, what they talk about are the many similarities between Mira and Mogoka. And they argue both ways that one just has enhanced capabilities of the same.
One does not have enhanced. One, I'm telling you, this one, you know, for those of you who love mushrooms.
Which one?
Exactly. Exactly. For those of you who take mushrooms, there are 3 types of mushrooms. There's the mushroom that you will eat and has a high protein content that's going to be good for your body. Then there's mushroom number 2, which will give you a proper kick and a high. Then there's mushroom number 3, which now gives you death.
It sends you to your creator.
Those are all mushrooms. You want to define alcohol. For those who drink, there's the alcohol that is going to give them that feeling of being mellow and happy and all. But then there's also a definition of alcohol that will make you go blind. That is all alcohol. Now, this is not even my doing. I want to give you something else. The plants that are prohibited, in Kenya is cannabis, the coca bush, the opium poppy, and one which I have no idea what this is, but this is something called Papaver setigram. However, there's what is called in the 4th schedule, what are called the precursor elements into this. There are 2 products that are actually available inside Mira and Mogoka. The only difference is the ones that are there in Mogoka is so high. These are actually substances that were banned by World Health, UN, and they're actually already in Kenyan law. The problem is not the tree.
It's the content.
It is the content of the tree. In the Kenyan context, the argument that this is a cash crop, it could be a cash crop, but the question is, when you now release those components in that cash crop, and you're giving them in high doses to young people, and then those young people so happen that your biggest consumers are Mombasa, and you're even admitting that your biggest consumers are Mombasa, the products contained, one of them that is already in Kenyan law is cathene, the other one is cathinone. These are products that I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but everywhere that you go, the studies indicate, in fact right now, I am aware that there are plans to remove this to do an amendment on the NACADA laws to actually remove these 2 elements that from
banned substances.
From banned substances, and I'll tell you for obvious reasons, because I'm presuming someone said, you know what, at the rate at which we're moving, someone is going to wake up and say that, look, we're stopping this, and you know, this is not something, I'm repeating again, it is not something that we just woke up and decided on.
What I was saying earlier was the pharmaceutical drug that is related to what we're referring to, they're called amphetamines.
Methamphetamines, yeah.
Yes, and dextroamphetamines. They usually work on the central nervous system, and people who have attention deficiency are normally offered this particular drug. Now, athletes who want enhanced performance are also prescribed and given these. Now, recreationally, people take amphetamines if they want to be euphoric, or some even think it's an aphrodisiac. Now, why do I mention this? Now, imagine these qualities prescribed, controlled. Now you have a situation where it's a free for all. It's available, and you have no knowledge of what it does. We all say that any drug taken without prescriptions is harmful, isn't it? Here we are again.
Governor, why do you think the consumption is so high in Mombasa?
It's too easily available. Did we have, I'll be lying to myself. I'll be lying to the nation if I actually don't admit the fact that we also need to be able to whip society in place. Are we doing that? Yes. Are we trying to be able to talk to parents, to talk to children? Yes, we are. But when you start denying that you don't have a problem, then that itself is a problem. The reason why Mogoka is so easily available, today if you go to places like Embu and Meru, they don't sell them to their children.
Why is that? Because that was going to be... Sorry, I'm going to go somewhere with this now. Because one would agree that it is available around the country, isn't it? It is available
I'm assuming. I don't know.
It's available. It's available where it's produced.
It's not banned anywhere.
It's not banned anywhere in Kenya. It's available, but we are seeing that there is a problem. According to what you're saying, I mean, even from the statistics and numbers that we're seeing here, there is a major problem with its use and consumption in Mombasa.
True.
So, if we remove Mogoka, and if we're not dealing with what could be one of the root problems, if you remove Mogoka, and if we're going to do simple mathematics, if that can be applied, Mogoka will be replaced by something else in the future.
First of all, the chances of getting another drug that is going to be as cheap as Mogoka, not during my watch.
Okay.
I want to tell you something, and I want to make this very clear, because this is a conversation that people have been talking about, and I see this a lot, these comments in social media. Why are you not tackling the effect of heroin? So help me God. If national government today, constitutionally, tell me this was our role, but we're giving it to you as the governor of Mombasa. So help me God, what I would do. I have no power to be able to get into containers that come in from the port. I have no powers to be able to search people who are getting into our aircrafts and getting into Kenya. I have no powers to be able to put people at international border posts because heroin is not grown locally. But the same zeal and enthusiasm had national government, and I'm actually asking this, and this question should be asked to those people who are meant to actually have the powers and have the capacity to be able to fight heroin. They need to be asked, why can't you fight heroin the same way that Abdul Samad is being able to fight the drugs that he can be able to fight? I'm saying again, if today I'm told the anti-narcotics unit is falling under your domain, do what needs to be done. There'll be a lot of, if what I'm doing now is something that is causing ripples, what I would do next could definitely cause a tsunami. And I'm not going to state what I'm going to do, But this is not the end of bringing sanity and order. Mark my words. I'm going to be called here because I'm going to be touching on other people's nerves as well. I'm going to be touching on other people's businesses as well.
Big ones.
Next thing that I'm going to do is, and this is a problem that is there, these places which are called maeneo would pick those people up. You have two choices. You either go to jail or I'm taking you to rehab. And then after that, those people who now feel that they can be able to expose, anyway, let me not just not divulge too much, but this is going to be a year of sanity and order.
Bigger thing is coming. Governor, on the 15th, just about 12 days ago, you met with the leadership of Embu, led by their governor, Cecily Marire.
Yes.
Where you said you discussed actions to control the sale of Miraa and Muguka to minors. And you resolved to form a team to develop tough regulations to guide traders on the sale of Muguka and Miraa, and you remain firm that you will safeguard the children from harm.
Yes.
Did you form the task force?
Yes.
What are the terms of reference for this task force?
The law is already existing. You know, the law already exists. You can't just pick up a boda and decide to transport. The law perceived that the reason why you can't be able to do that is so that you don't take it to the wrong place. You need to be able to get a special permit for you to be able to transport. You need to be able to get a special license for you to be able to sell these items. These guys, I didn't even do it myself. I told them, out of that spirit of goodwill, I'm giving you guys, the county government, termination notice for those people who are selling areas outside schools, outside our mosques, outside our churches, outside our madrasas and Sunday schools. Kindly tell these people not to do this. They went out, issued hundreds of notices. Hundreds of notices. Notices expired. What happens? First day, they see an inspectorate officer, everyone starts getting jittery, we close the shop and do everything else. You know, and now we have videos and pictures where everyone just decided, you know what, the governor came in, spoke in a good word, and by the way, she really, really tried to plead on behalf of her people. I give her credit. I give the governor of Embu credit that she really, really tried. She came over, she talked, she did what needs to be done. She realized that, yes, we have this problem. And, you know, you asked me why. I don't think a Muguka farmer would give Muguka to their child to eat. I don't think so.
So did you form the task force?
Yes, we did. We actually came in. It was not something that I had to do, you know, wait and gazette it or anything else. But I got names that she proposed. I got names that the Meru team proposed. I got names from the health department. I got names from the education department. I got names from Serikali Mitaani, which is basically our department that deals with going all the way to village levels. Mapped out these areas, told this team, start going out, issued these notices. People
and
get
yet
greedy.
The ban is in effect.
No, that was before the ban got into effect. I put the ban into place when I realized that people are looking at this matter like it is just a one big joke.
They're taking it lightly.
They're not taking it lightly. They're taking us for a fool.
But Governor, 12 days ago, you meet with the leadership of Embu Meru.
And we did, and by the way,
you agreed to form a task force. A few days later, even before the task force has even begun doing its work.
That's wrong, Eric. Actually, no, that's wrong. Because they started working the next day.
All right.
It's not that they never started working.
Have they handed in a report?
Yes, they did do a report. They went out themselves and they gave these notices to all these places that are selling. They did it themselves. I told them, look, I don't want to be the one that seems to be denying your people a right to be able to
So did you
make
have
a living.
follow-up meeting with these leaders?
I'm not going to continuously do follow-up meetings and follow-up meetings when my people, again, I'm repeating this word. I will not be the governor that is going to be leading a people who will once be told that Mombasa is a statistical reminder of what happens when leadership does not take action.
But hear me out. You welcome the leaders, including the governor of Embu.
Yes, we did. And by the way, the conversation... The task
force is formed. We are talking about just a period of 12 days ago.
Right.
A task force is formed. A task force, you say, has done its work. It brings back a report. But you don't even have another follow-up conversation with the leaders that you sat down with and agreed.
By the way...
You go ahead and issue a blanket ban.
Let me explain. When we met with the first team that came in was it Embu or Meru, one of them. But when they came in, the team from Meru came with the deputy governor. The governor called me herself, raising these concerns. We sat down with the MCAs and area member of parliament.
Let's continue the conversation. Allow me. Let's do the news. And then we continue the conversation. Perfect. And we'll open up the phone lines. Let the people of Mombasa, the people of Embu, the people of the country speak to you after this.
Thank you.
Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir is the governor of Mombasa County. Keep it here.
It's now 9 a.m. Get effective relief from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Relief starts here.
This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. After the death of Kenyan mountain climber Cheruiyot Kirui, who attempted to summit Mount Everest without supplement or oxygen, little is known about the possibility of the mountaineer's body being retrieved. Kirui was found dead near the summit of the world's highest mountain. At the time when Nepal government officials confirmed his death, it wasn't clear when the body would be recovered because it would be difficult to carry out the operation at that altitude due to the low oxygen level. On Sunday, a video of an operation in the Everest made rounds on social media, with users claiming that Kirui's body was retrieved meters from the summit. The video showed a helicopter carrying a mountaineer's body, which was received by fellow climbers. A fact check has found that the body shown in the video is not that of Kirui. And moving on is that police in Homa Bay have intensified crackdown on bang planted in Gwasi Hills, with over 40 acres of the outlawed crop having been uprooted and destroyed so far in the ongoing operations within Gwasi Forest. Led by Suba South County Deputy County Commissioner Sebastian Okiring, he says that over 40 acres of bang were discovered on top of the hill following a tip-off from members of the public. And even as the story continues, a statement going viral on social media and attributed to Kenya Airways CEO Alan Kilavuka regarding the airline's cost of travel to the US is fake. The viral statement appeared to contradict President William Ruto's assertion that traveling to the US in a private jet was way cheaper compared to hiring a Kenya Airways plane. The airline has, however, denied making such a statement and flagged it as a fake on its social media handles. Ruto had earlier clarified that the cost incurred for his travel to the US was way less than what would have been spent if he had used a Kenya Airways plane.
I think the expenditure on my trip are completely exaggerated. They are actually bordering on the ridiculous. I am very careful about the resources that I spend. In fact, I have cut down on funding to my office. I have cut down on funding to different government agencies. In fact, I have reduced by 30%. There are people who will answer those questions, but I can tell you from where I sit that the numbers being bandied around are ridiculous.
The 7 Kansas Azimio leaders, led by Kalonzo Musyoka and the Secretary General of Jubilee, Jeremiah Kioni, have hit out at the president over the flight expenditure, terming it as irresponsible.
It would be very interesting for Kenyans to know how much it would have cost, right, to fly the president by KQ from Jomo Kenyatta to New York, or even indeed to Washington.
There was a heap of other people in the other flights. It's not that they were all in one plane. So we are only talking about those who are in the loyal jet, and it costed us 200 million shillings. And we still have not been told how much it costed us because the plane waited for him for all the time that he was in the US.
Various government departments have been urged to work together and ensure female students get sanitary towels on time. Led by Kisumu County's youth official Tyson Okoh, he said that students from low-income families face great challenges, especially during the holidays, because their parents are unable to afford buying them sanitary towels.
On research, over the months where we are asking children, our Department of Education has been going out with psychiatrists and asking children. And when children themselves are speaking and saying that this is something that is too easily available, with this thing we tried to bring in regulations. I called in all stakeholders. We sat down with the leadership. We sat down with traders. My job is not to go and play Mickey Mouse, or my job is not going to start playing around, who is chasing who.
Similarly, men have been encouraged to be supportive of female students who are experiencing such challenges.
Menstruation is not a women's issue. It is our issue. This is an issue of the society. And as a man, I know, because we've had issues of sex for pads. Men sleeping with girls to give them pads. If all men can be involved, we won't have a scenario where a man is asking for sex to give a pad. We call upon all men, boys, it is our role. This is our role to play. Whether you have a sister, your girlfriend, or you are a father, you have children, kindly buy them pads. Fathers, as you budget.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's still busy in the city, and we're looking at quite some traffic still coming off of the Eastern Bypass. It's going to touch on Mombasa Road at some part as you get towards Cabanas. A little bit of that traffic at Timaradaima still continuing as you get off towards General Motors. It's also reduced significantly on the Thika Superhighway out to Survey, and on Kiambu Road as well, looking at less traffic into this hour. It's still very busy on Limuru Road and coming off of Waiaki Way. I think we'll be okay for now. James Gishuru has not posed too much of a traffic issue this morning, so still keeping an eye on things here and there. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 after 9, our conversation continues into the final hour of The Situation Room this morning. Governor Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir is still here with us for a couple of minutes. We'll open up the phone lines as well to hear from you, 0719-012-600. But remember, if you'd like to do any business with any county government across the country, or even the national government, or even any government parastatal, or beyond that, any private entity, and you want to invoice them, you need to generate a tax invoice. Now, if you're not VAT registered, you ask yourself, so why am I don't even have that electronic tax thingy? So what do I do? No. You register for eTIMS, Electronic Tax Invoice Management System. ecitizen.kra.go.ke or USSD code *222#. That's all you need. So go there, follow the prompts, register, and then thereafter you can be generating your events. It's very, very, very easy. We continue our conversation with the governor. We've given him some Majani chai called Assis Premium. So you've tried this thing?
Yes, I have. The hibiscus one. Very calming.
Yeah.
Calming when you take it, energizing after you have.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Calming when you take it, energizing when you have. Okay.
They should use that as their slogan.
Good one.
Isn't it?
Yeah. they
will write it down.
No,
you'll forget it. We know you. Just write it down. Remind us the day's proverb city. It's from Zimbabwe.
Yes, it's from the Republic of Zimbabwe. You should try things.
Try things.
You really should, eh?
Yeah.
A grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup.
A grandmother from Chivi cooked stones and got soup. Starts with, you should try things.
You should try things.
All right. So, Governor, as we went to the news, you were explaining this process. You have engagements with the leaders of Meru. Embu.
By the way, I want to state this on the onset. I truly respect the leadership. I appreciate the fact that they actually came over to Mombasa for us to be able to discuss this matter. They are aware. We did pick those people. My sentiments were very, very simple. This is causing a problem. In fact, when I met with the Meru leadership, I actually ended up calling the different stakeholders so they can also understand that this is not an issue that is being prompted by me as an individual, but this is an issue that is society-led. I wanted them to hear the other side. They've always been hearing the side of the farmer and the trader and the cooperatives. I wanted them to hear the other side as well. And the Meru team were there, and they appreciated this. When the team from Embu came in, I called in the heirs member of the county assembly, and every single one of them explained the reason why they made this particular tough stance, that why we intend to be able to come up with tough stances. And she appreciated this. We did a joint press release on this. People were told, yes, traders are now going to be able to start abiding. Everything is going to be done. You go and remove people, and hundreds of notices are issued out. I told them, please talk to your kinsmen in your languages. Talk to them in a way that they can be able to understand. Treat the children here the way you treat children anywhere else. The traders disrespected their own leaders. They threw sand on the faces of me and their own leaders back home. I'm their local leader, but their leaders back home. And they looked at this like this was one big joke to them. In fact, one of the traders, you want to know that the effect of what Mogoka has. One of the traders who deals in both Mogoka and Mira, when they came in, and this is not something that they said that is not minuted, or they said it just to me alone. When we were the team of other stakeholders, they were there, and other leaders as well, they were there. And one of these people comes up and says, even if you increase this figure by about 500,000 from the cess that you put in at about 80,000 shillings, Kwale has already proposed that this figure should go to about 100,000. You want to know that this is not a problem that is a problem that is an Abdul Samad problem. That this is a problem, that it's a society problem, it's a region's problem. Mungaro talked about this. When we started discussing this matter, Mungaro was amongst the people as well who came out strong and actually talked about this. The governor of Taita talked about this. Do you know in Kwale they actually have a law banning this that was done in the previous regime? No, in Kwale, not Kilifi, in Kwale.
In Kwale, yes.
During the time of the former governor.
Mvurya.
You go to Tana River. You want to see the effect of Mogoka on people. Anxiety problems started kicking in. There was a time roads got washed away and the product was unable to reach in. This is a problem in Lamu as well. And it is a decision that was not just made by me as an individual. I might have been the person who got irked enough to pick up and pull the trigger first. But the net effect of all this is because of what it is that we're seeing. And I'm telling you again, I'm truly appreciating the efforts that were done by the leaders. If there's something that the farmers, the transporters need to be aware of, is their leaders did try. But truth be told, the businessmen, the farmers need to look back at the people who are selling their products back in our homes, back in our areas, and they threw sand on our faces. They're poisoning our young people, our young generation. They refuse, either by design or by default, to be able to say that, you know what, we're going to take this product and sell it to someone. They sell this product to someone who they can clearly see and tell that this person already has a mental problem.
And
you go to social media right now. Go to social media right now, and I truly don't blame. Someone was telling me, I have a reason. I have a reason why in my phone. I've said this before when I was here with you. I don't have social media on my phone. I could walk around with a kabambe. It wouldn't make any difference to me. I don't even have WhatsApp. And I told this to my son. I said, in leadership, you need to be able to be strong enough to hold your emotions and make decisions that are not going to be based on emotions, but based on what results are going to come out. Right? And that is what we are doing. I know. And if you want to know that this is, others called that this is a political risk that you're taking, you're going to die a natural political risk. I would rather face that. But guess what is happening? I talked about it. I did what needed to be done. I'm so blessed. This is not just my doing. I think literally, every single leader in Mombasa, the whole county assembly, collectively, members of parliament, all of them have talked about it, except one who I'm assuming does not necessarily mean that he's supporting. The women rep has confirmed her full support on this matter. We only have one nominated senator who actually says that no, let young people be able to enjoy themselves, who I for her own reasons, and I don't want to be able to engage in a debate with her. It's her democratic right. She can be able to do what she needs to do. She's nominated, so probably that's the reason as to why she's not answerable to an electorate. But at the end of the day, this is a collective decision
by all leaders.
It's when I tell you everyone, I mean the whole county assembly, all members of parliament, our senator, our women rep, you name it. I'm telling you, there are only two people. One has not talked about it. I'm assuming he's not talked about it does not mean that he's necessarily supporting the consumption. One has gone out and said, no, I'm supporting the consumption of Moga. For her own reasons, I would not want to get involved into that discussion. Then you go to places like Kilifi. All leadership, including the cabinet secretary who hails from Kilifi, Aisha Juma. You go to Kwale, everyone is talking. Go to Taita, where the governor and all the other leaders, dear Lord, please, we're telling the people who feel that we are hurting their income, we can't all be in this a level where we're conniving against you. And we're urging, I've written, by the way, to the chief of, to the head of public service. I've personally written to the head of public service. And I've copied the Ministry of Interior, I've copied the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Health, and I've told them the reason as to why, with all the evidence, all the facts and everything else. And I've literally, in the love that I have for my fellow Kenyans, I've said that we're requesting for national government to consider funding those farmers to be able to come up with another alternative crop. And once they do that, I take it upon myself as the governor of Mombasa, and I'm sure we can be able to discuss this matter with other governors in the other areas. If Muga is so good, consume it elsewhere. But our blood says Muga is bad. Our figures indicate that Muga is bad. Our figures and facts and figures, everything out there. This narrative that watu wa pwani ni watu wa kula unga and everything else, those young people that you're seeing doing all these things, Everything is correlated to Mogoka. And if you feel that it is so good, if you feel that it is a super plant, consume it yourself so you can get more better. But please spare us that agony of seeing our children being exposed to these things.
We'll be taking a couple of calls, and we want to open the phone line so we can also get feedback and you hear it. I want to ask on the legal power of your executive order. So this is the governor of one county who issues an executive order against a product, right? And this product has not been termed illegal countrywide. It's a product that you're terming illegal in your jurisdiction. What's the power of this particular order? What if another governor of Elgeyo Marakwet decides, you know what, cigarettes are horrible, and I want to ban cigarettes in my area?
By the way, I mentioned to you, and that's just one of the many ways that we can be able to prove this. However, considering that I have already been warned that I'm going to be taken to court, let me not relay everything out. But I've already told you of the products that are there in this
the active ingredients in Mogoka.
These are things that they're not banned by any other except it's Kenyan law. World Health Organization product that has been banned in majority of countries in the world. You know, after coming up with this ban, I'm now getting international universities sending me reports and letters congratulating me that what I'm doing is actually right. I have actually received letters from international researchers sent to my office. People I don't know, but people were telling me, we are telling you what you're doing is the right thing. I'm repeating this again. Majority of the people who discard this conversation, majority of the people who look at us with a lot of disbelief that we can be able to make such kind of declarations on behalf of our people in the interest of protecting our people are actually not people from Mombasa. Mombasa is so cosmopolitan. Inside Mombasa, I have every tribe, every religion, everyone else. Other than the people who are already addicted and are consuming. And by the way, we just didn't put a ban. I have already announced 18 areas where we're going to do outreaches for purposes of giving people psychiatric help. I've already confirmed the county government of Mombasa is going to spend its own money to pay and admit people who feel after being assessed that they need to be able to get rehabilitation at our own cost. We've already worked out with Mombasa Women Network, Reach Out and MEWA. We're going to be able, we've already purchased enough medicines so that we can be able to treat people. People are going to speak this language out there that, you know, why is everyone else not being affected, but it is only the coastal people that are being affected. The fact remains that we are being affected.
That's the bottom line. Let's go to the phone lines, Governor. Abbas in Nyeri, good morning.
Morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. Ningependa kuchangia mada ambayo Gavana anazungumzia hapo.
Tuendelee.
Kwanza kabisa sisi kama vijana wa Mombasa, kwa sababu tumeona Gavana amechukua role kama ya mzazi mbali na kiongozi, kwa sababu swala la mgokani jambo ambalo pia
Abbas, bad line. Let's hear from Salim. Salim in Mombasa, good morning.
Good morning, Latiff.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
What's your reaction to this? Do you support the ban on Mogoka in Mombasa?
No, I don't. And I want to say it in Swahili. If today omena wazuiliwe wasiingie Mombasa, omena wataliwa huko wanakutoka, iwe ni Kisumu iwe ni wapi. Viazi vikizuiliwa leo visiingie Mombasa, viazi vitaliwa maeneo ya Central. Lakini leo mgoka umezuiliwa, imekuwa ni shida, imekuwa ni fujo, imekuwa ni ghasia. Hii ina maana tunaona ile kauli ambayo inatumika dunia nzima, the dealer does not consume. Hii inatuambia sisi kama vijana wa Mombasa, hicho tunacholazimishiwa kuuziwa si salama kwetu. And I'm speaking as a youth and as an artist. And I even said, taharuki Mombasani, mjadala toka juzi, walokaa barazani wanalia machozi, na wakaa umaskani wamejawa na majonzi, mwataka kula majani, kwani mnku wa mbuzi? We do not support.
Thank you, Salim. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Latiff.
Very well. Where are you this morning?
I'm calling from Chuda, Mombasa.
Okay. Do you support the ban?
Now I've got, yes, I support the ban. Actually, I've got 3 issues. One is that the governor should hold. Let him push to the core. In fact, he should not fear. The other day I was listening to a certain leader, nominated senator, was saying that what if the court allows the Mogoka to be sold? What I can tell the governor is that wewe shikilia hapo, even if the court allows, what I know is that the court always give recommendations thereafter. They'll not just say that they're allowing, but they don't give recommendations. 2, since the ban of this particular product, we have seen drastic reduction of idling around the Mitani. There is something called maskani within Mombasa that the guys just decide to sit, and they sit there from morning up to late at night. Even at 3 a.m. you pass there, you'll still find them there. These are really reduced in Mombasa. Lastly, as a youth, what I would request the governor is that there was this particular program that the governor was handling called Mombasa Yangu. If this particular program can be able to come back and bring this, give opportunity to the youth so that they can participate in other activities within the community, it will be of benefit to the people of Mombasa. And I highly support the ban of this particular product. And let this not be seen as something that is targeting a community or whatever, because I heard another senator was saying that this is targeting people from the up country. Today we have fish in Mombasa, but we are allowing fish from Kisumu to come in. Today we have bananas that are coming within the coastal region of the Taita, but you are allowing bananas from Kisii to come in. We have potatoes that can be found in Kwale, but you are allowing potatoes from Kiambu to come in. So what I think the government should ask these particular growers of Mogoka, why don't they find alternative crops or products that they can bring to Mombasa instead of Mogoka?
Thank you very much. Kevin in Mombasa as well, good morning.
Yes, good morning. My contribution to this, first of all, Your Excellency, the Governor, we are in full support on the ban of Mogoka. I think this was part of the agenda that you sold to the people of Mombasa. So you're not really deviating from what you told the people of Mombasa County that you're going to do. And I remember, Your Excellency, just a few, last year, you were able to launch a program that deals with rehabilitation of people who use bang, which has been a very big problem in Mombasa. So with the same power that you're doing this, Your Excellency, we're in full support of the ban of this thing called Mogoka, because you're fighting for the generation, not just now, but you are given the power to be the custodian of the future of this part of Mombasa County. So on behalf of the people of Mombasa and as a youth, we're in full support of the ban of Mogoka, and we encourage different forms of trade that will enrich both the farmers and also the people of Mombasa. So to see shikilie hii mambo ya Mogoka simply because we believe that it's a political issue, but rather we should look at protecting and uplifting the lives of the young people.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin Muzini from Chuda in full support.
Asante. Boniface in South B, Nairobi, good morning.
Yes, how are you?
Very well. Do you support the ban on Mogoka in Mombasa on the coast?
Yeah, they support, but still unaona hii ban inaweza affect cause unaona other drugs zenye zinatumika Mombasa kwa wingi sana. Hii Mogoka kubaniwa inaweza make other drugs hata zikuwe zinatumika zaidi.
Kama gani?
Tu kweli. Cost inajulikana kwa drugs mingi zenye sasa siwezi taja ati moja kwa moja tu. Yeah.
Taja moja.
Yeah. Heroin, hizo, yeah.
All right. So you think banning this one will encourage consumption of the other drugs? Let's hear Blackwater in Mombasa. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen and a lady.
Good morning.
Governor Barigani.
Salama sana.
Hey, okay. Personally, I think it's a valid action. But again, I'm looking at it from the perspective where we're throwing away the baby and the bathwater. I think there's a better way of doing this. Because one, we need to know what is the age and the demographic of the people consuming this drug. And why can it be, could you not regulate it the way people regulate alcohol on times and sales? At the same time, we're looking at the demographic, because mostly the rich are using Mira. It's the poor that are doing this Mogoka. And I've seen it, but the issue is who gives the permits? It is the county who gives them the permit. That means you can control how many outlets you can have in this city.
Okay.
Okay. At the same time, please tell us how much money are we losing by shutting down these businesses? Because I know it must be a win-win. They might be making more, but they say 22 billion. But I know we must be making something too. That means that we could take that money and reinvest it.
Okay.
In schools and matters like that.
Okay.
I think that's about it for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Blackwater. Eric in Embu.
Yes. Hello, SpiceFM. My name is Modomi Barimbui from Embu County. And I just want to ask the governor to look for a win-win situation in the whole of this thing. Because Mogoka may not necessarily be bad. Because even when you look at countries like Colombia, which were accused of doing cocaine, traditionally they used to consume what was called coca leaves. And they're still consumed as a medicinal thing, and also in a traditional perspective that help them even in their jobs. Mogoka has some benefits. You find that people work longer, people sometimes like long distance travelers, they stay awake longer. My urge to the governors of both counties, please, these are livelihoods of millions of people you are talking about. It is a $20 billion shilling industry. Can we find a win-win situation rather than have like a hard stand on this thing?
Instead of being too drastic. Eric, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
In the part of Embu where you come from, do they grow Mogoka?
Yes. We grow Mogoka in Bere South, and many of us are Mogoka farmers. And I think one of the things, Eric, we should be asking ourselves is, maybe we even need to look for a way to add value to this. Maybe we can use it as a juice that then can be better regulated and also can add value. Can be better regulated so that it does not go to the young people. We also have issues with young people consuming, but you are trying to sensitize people not to use these at the wrong ages. Eric, anything can be abused. Even food is abused. It's only a matter of how do we regulate these things. How can we ensure that it is not bad? In Colombia, the leadership tried to show that coca leaves are not necessarily bad. It is when they are processed into cocaine that they become bad. And people in those areas, those jungles, coca leaves are the ones that are processed to make the cocaine paste that eventually is processed into cocaine. So my urge really, Eric, is let's not have we are all in Kenya. We are all Kenyans. These are lose-lose situations that we are looking at currently. Let us find a win-win situation for the people of Embu and for the people of Mombasa. We empathize with the situation of our brothers and sisters who have been affected negatively, but let's not just come to a hard line that cannot be negotiated.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you,
Modomi Barimbui from Embu.
Thank you, Modomi. The president of the Kenya Medical Association, Dr. Simon Kigondu. Good morning.
Good morning. Salimia Governor hapo. Alikuwa chief guest wangu. Alikuwa chief guest wangu in the conference. Now, I don't like being boxed into do you support, do you not support, but what I support is the process that the governor has taken. Kenya Medical Association likes evidence-based policy decisions. So even in court, what will be asked is, yes, you talked of the children. Are these the effects from these Mogoka? Is this the social impact? So the science, we would encourage that they continue doing more science on it so that you have evidence-based policy making decisions. The problem with this is that you have a decision that is thought to be a politicized weapon, such that Mogoka is grown in one region and consumed in another. Then some other people are thinking it's a political thing. In the side of science, we want to say, does Mogoka cause this? Has it done that for the people in Mombasa? Is the decision that was made based on science, and I support the process of decision making.
Okay. Dr. Kigondu, the psychiatrists and psychologists, psychiatrists are members of your association.
Yes.
Have you had conversations from the professionals in your association who are raising concern about use of Muga and them having to deal with patients?
Yes. Over and above that, the psychiatrists, and that's what I was saying, get scientific papers and actually analyze them in that studio. Get the psychiatrists to come and discuss the effects of Muga. So psychiatrists have actually said that Muga has this, Muga and all other drugs, so to speak, has this and this effect. Then you have a county government that has gone to the society and said they have noticed the behavior of people taking this drug and they are making a decision based on that. But the psychiatrists indeed have said there are effects of Muga, Mira, and other drugs.
Okay.
So to speak. Also in the rehabilitation centers, my wife personally runs a rehabilitation center. Some of the long-term effects of those drugs that are consumed actually lead people to needing alcohol and substance abuse rehabilitation.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. And finally, so you can respond to these ones, we've got a lady on the line, and Ednah didn't get your name right. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Suraya from Mombasa.
Okay.
I'm a women leader, and I want to, good morning, first of all, I want to commend my governor for that step that he's taken. It's a bold move. To be honest, people are politicizing what has just taken place. But to be sincere, Muga has not been made a drug because of political interest. And the issue is this. It is not just about our young kids that have been messed up. Our families have broken in Mombasa. Our fathers are missing in the homes. Our women are using Muga, and this is very unfortunate. Our education standard is very low. We are trying to put it up. Our governor is really trying to uplift the education standard. Muga is not making it easy. I don't know why we are being forced to use it. I like the young man who said that we have potatoes, we have cabbages, we have everything everywhere. And we have not complained. Yes, we have drug issues, but that is beyond us. I love the way the governor has said, you can only do what you can do.
Okay.
If he's given the mandate, he will do it. Muga is making people zombies. I have had patients I've taken to rehabilitation. I can even tell you, most of these accidents on the roads, most of the drivers are using Muga who are living from Mombasa. This is something that we need to take serious. Our families are really having issues. We have our social issues, yes, but our young kids have become zombies. They are leaving schools. The transition, even for kids to live from one class to the next, if you look at the numbers, is not working out. And yes, people think that it is political, but it is not. Of course, we've had a lot of issues. We have economic issues. Our education levels are low. Our people are poor, and we are bringing in Muga when we say no, and it is becoming politics. I think it's about time that we take this bold move. So I really commend my governor, and as women leaders, we support you 100%.
Asante sana, Threa.
You see, this is what I was trying to tell you. I was looking at the calls and the demographics. I think Abbas and all the others, Salim said that chances are very, very high if Omena didn't come in, it would be consumed elsewhere. The reason why it's a problem is Muga is not going to be consumed anywhere else. If it was there was a market for it to be consumed anywhere else, would not have this whole conversation, because they would simply ship that product to somewhere else. But it's us, and the reason it is us is because we're a county that is now addicted, a county that is dependent. 22 billion. I gave you an example. I gave you an example. I don't know, because I heard you reading in the newspaper that we're the highest consumer of Muga.
Yeah.
The one county called Mombasa. If we're the highest, what are we? At 30%? 40%? That means, on an average, Mombasa consumes 700 million.
7 billion.
7 billion.
Yep.
Sorry, 7 billion shillings of Mogoka.
Of the 22 billion trade.
Of that 22 billion. Yeah. Dear Lord, dear Lord, my people of Mombasa, we can take that 7 billion and do better things with it.
Which is what Blackwater is asking. So what is the revenue loss here?
By the way, when it comes to revenue loss for us directly as a county, I would assume, and I don't call it a loss. I really don't call it a loss, because you can't be able to equate something where you're losing more. So the net value of what we're gaining is actually higher than what it is that we're losing. We're losing more right now. When you have 7 billion that is being spent out, 7 billion that is spent on a product that we have not seen that level of productivity. There's no study to show that there's productivity. There's study to show negativity on this. There's study that is indicating that our young people, this is where it irks me the most. I sweat, I go out and I tell people we need to be able to pay bursaries for our children. I need to get our children back in school. Dropout rates are getting high. You do research and everything else is boiling down to the level of Mogoka. You asked that question right now, Eric, who was kind enough to say that, yes, I wish you asked him whether the children of Embu are consuming this product. Why should it be our children? You know, the gentleman Boniface from South B, this is what I'm saying. This stereotype of someone else speaking on how we look, how we actually, you know, we will say how we look, we will say how we smell, we will say how we speak, and we will dictate of how we want our future to be. This narrative and this stereotype ya kwa watu wa Mombasa kuna madawa ya kulevya, watu wa nini kuna nini, now we will change this narrative. The story will be that success comes from where we come from. And it can only be done if we're going to be able to take action. And again, I'm going to repeat this issue again. You know, you asked me what is the next ripple effect that I'm going to be able to put into effect. Once this happens, and I am glad. Right now, we're already starting to see people who are accepting that they have a problem, who are accepting that they need to be able to go and get in psychiatric help, rehabilitation where it is needed. We need to be able to close down. We're going to be writing to the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. What audit have they done for these medicines that young people are taking, these blue tablets, and doing crazy things? What audit have they been able to do? We're going to challenge national government that we are even ready, that if you cannot be able to fight the fight against heroin and everything else, give me that mandate.
Yeah. Governor, we've got to allow you to go to our colleagues at Vibes Radio. They'd like to have a conversation with you for the next 20 minutes or so. But thank you very much for joining us.
Asante sana. You know, as always, it's always a pleasure for me to be able to come over.
Asante sana.
And I just thought you should be aware as well as my parting shot. The last weekend, we're on a Monday, crime rate has already reduced. These are not figures from myself. These are figures from the National Police Service. I just thought you should be aware.
And you attribute this directly to the zero sale of Muga?
Maybe if the shoe fits, it belongs to Cinderella.
Abdul Samad Sharif Nasir, the Governor of Mombasa County. We'll open up the phone lines after this quick break. Let Ndu tell us about, is it weather or traffic? Traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Most of it dissipated in the city. We're just looking at a little bit of traffic left, right around Survey on the Thika Superhighway, and it's also building still on Jogo Road as you get towards Landis. All right, so whatever that mess was right around the Maradima seems to have been sorted out now, and just a smidgen of it left as you're getting into the city, but I think more or less you'll be able to get in and out, no problem. Coming off of Limuru Road into the city is also still a little bit clogged, but I think through it we'll be able to see open lines as we go through the morning. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So the governor has stepped out to go to Vibes Radio, where he'll have a conversation there. But we continue this conversation. He's banned Muga. You've heard the sentiment from the people of Muga. Many of them who have called in are saying, yes, it's the way to go. Others are saying, okay, it's good, but then what's the process? What procedure are you following? What other alternatives have you thought of? For example, Mudomi from Embu says, how about you then come up with regulation on how better to consume this, where it can be sold? He says, from the task force, go and issue notices to all these places, say stop selling. And what he got was the trader saying, boss.
It's never going to happen.
Okoh.
I think with every product around, and this is not just here, but around the world, the birth of the black market began as a result of blanket bans on things. Doesn't matter what it is that you're looking at. But the birth of the black market then was as a result of bans like this happening. And I unfortunately didn't get to ask him that question, but how then will we deal with what is not maybe, it is inevitable?
That it now becomes a black market. Absolutely. It becomes a Magendo product.
It will, if it has not already. You will probably be able to walk into any place where there's a conversation about a ban or a ban already in place, whereby folks are already saying, well, you know, do you need it? How much are you willing to pay? I know a guy, I'll get it for you. Standard, guaranteed. How will you be able to deal with that? If it really is an addiction issue, people want to feed their addiction, like, you know, CT, they're going to find a way to do it. Doesn't matter. You know, my mind can never leave the story read coming out of South Africa the other day, where a woman sold her baby, not a doll, not somebody else's baby, her baby, to get her fix, right? So how are we going to be able to deal with that? I mean, we're not playing down the mental health issues around this. We're not playing down the addiction issues. We're not playing down what it has done to livelihoods. We're not playing down also the effect that it will have on livelihoods of those who sell the product, right? Because all of this has to play into the conversation, does it not?
It does.
We have to.
But then remember, there's something that the governor kept repeating. He had asked them even before the time when he was meeting with the governors of Meru, or the leadership of Meru and Embu. Please don't sell these products in certain areas.
So yes, you may sell it, but in certain areas around
he was not saying don't sell it.
People,
You're saying please don't. And clearly it was ignored.
Sure.
And ignored. Now you see, one may say, yeah, you could have called them, shut these things down, do the other. But you see, when it's against a backdrop of a county that is already struggling with many young people addicted, and you can see the statistics and it's growing, if you're the governor, what do you do?
Well, of course. I mean, look, I don't think... I I really don't. I'm not convinced. I don't think that this is a political ploy. And you can hear the pain in his voice when he talks about it, because obviously it's something that he wants to see done away with. It's not the run-of-the-mill, fly by the seat of your pants decision that he said, okay, well, let me do something else to make me politically sound. I mean, it's obvious that it's affecting one way or another, right? But unfortunately, it still needs to be approached from all sides. It has to be, especially because this is not like your hard drugs sale, whereby you go to a place in the country and people are saying, oh yeah, please, let's have it here. No, this is different, because there are other parts in the country today where nobody has an issue with this thing, right?
People don't have an issue with the product throughout the country.
Exactly. And so you must ask, like you said, you must ask yourself, why are we seeing that it is an issue here? And are there other issues that we must be dealing with apart from the sale of this thing itself? Because like I said, if you take it out, if you ban it, let's say you ban it completely, people are not selling it, people are not consuming it. Will something else not take its place?
It will, but remember, just Leo Baga was reading something, a news item, about 40 acres of land where cannabis sativa, otherwise known as bangi, was actually being grown, was found in Homa Bay County, okay?
Yeah.
You can't grow 40 acres of bangi if you don't have customers.
No.
Okay?
That's it.
Because you could grow maize. But they chose to grow bangi, or maybe they grew the bangi in between the maize. But whatever it is that they did, bangi is
buy it as well.
It is banned. It is legal, but it is still consumed.
Thank you.
Okay? You see, you cannot with a straight face look at the issue. See, here, on this one here, I will be biased because I grew up in Mombasa. Okay? The problems related to drugs, whether it is heroin, whether it's mogoka, if you see, to see the problem, you need to know people whose lives and whose families have been affected. I do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You cannot for a single second have any kind word to utter. You cannot, because you've seen it.
Yeah.
This was not an issue of a governor denying the people of Embu or Meru their livelihood. Right. No. The people who were involved in trading in the product were not just insensitive, they had a sense of impunity and they felt they could do exactly what they wanted. They poked the bear.
Indeed.
Now, having poked the bear responded.
And these are the consequences.
These are the consequences.
Yes, exactly. Now, these people who sell and who disregarded what they had been told on many occasions are the ones who have messed it up for the farmers, not the governor. They were told, please sell it here, please sell it here. Not once, not twice, please. And complete. You shut the shop, give it a day, you're back. Now, sometimes if you want to have a negotiation that makes sense, in my opinion, you take the sort of stand that the governor has taken, so that you understand that if we agree on something and you disregard it, these are the consequences.
This is what
so decide how you want to go about it. There are those who would argue that alcohol, when consumed in large amounts, because the chewing of mogoka or mira, it's chewed in large quantities.
Yes, no.
It has drastic effects on people's health. But the thing is, alcohol, as somebody mentioned, is controlled. You don't go around seeing people just walking around drinking alcohol. You don't. Or you rarely do. When one talks of drugs and the enforcement...
Kashago will tell you that he's gone to places and he's seen people. Okay, the effects of it's just at 11 o'clock in the morning.
He has, and those places exist.
Yes, yes.
But it isn't rampant. And the reason why mogoka or mira is tolerated is because whatever the effects are, there are people who haven't quite experienced the extreme extent that the governor was talking about here. But people speak very visibly and very loudly against bangi, against these hard drugs.
Yeah.
You know, a review on how it is we treat drugs, whether they are soft, whether they are... the manner in which whatever manner we... This thing needs to be reconsidered.
It needs to be exposed. Just hearing those numbers of the people who are actually even admitted to hospital, those who are going to these rehab centers, right? And the numbers are high. Mohammed Hersi, the coast hotelier, has also just sent me a message saying it's the same thing. He's saying, look, this thing is a proper menace in Mombasa.
It is.
That the number of people who are actually in all these rehabilitation centers, it's high, because that's a very high number. When you say
it is
45 out of 70.
Come on.
You see, it's the same thing.
That is about 70% of just, that is a lot.
No, man. It's like an entire generation being lost as well.
Close to 70% of admissions in a hospital are just as a direct result of chewing this thing. And then you're seeing that it's easily available to children.
And it's cheap.
It's cheap.
That's the thing. It is cheap. You can use lunch money to buy.
What are you talking about? 100 shillings?
No, it's less. You can. It depends on the quantity.
It's
It's cheaper.
It's much cheaper.
Did you hear he said it's cheaper than a boiled egg?
And a boiled egg may be.
A boiled egg is 20 shillings or something like that, maybe?
Yeah.
Yes.
What are you buying, though, for this 20 shillings? I think it's important for me to understand. What are you buying for this 20 shillings?
I have no idea how much the quantity is.
I don't know what quantity is, but it'll probably say several twigs which have leaves on it.
So this thing that you chew for... Okay, so this thing that you chew for 20 shillings, 30 shillings, whatever, is going to give the effects of this highness,
it's like buying a stick of cigarette.
It's like buying a cigarette? Wow.
It's like buying a cigarette stick. So you buy this sachet of just two leaves that have been put in a sachet.
And it gives you a high for however long.
Yeah, until the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, but you see, the problem with this is not just the high.
It's what it's doing to you.
It's what it does to you. Yeah. It's the long-term effect to the point where you have to be hospitalized because you're either psychotic or you have... your entire nervous system has been affected. By the time...
cheesy.
Yes.
Seriously, though?
Yes.
Mtu anachizi because of chewing this thing.
Yes, it is. You start hallucinating.
So you're telling me, essentially, that this leaf salad... Okay, this leaf has the same effect as meth.
Yep.
Hallucinations, because that's what meth does.
Yes.
Or those mushrooms.
Or those mushrooms.
Yes.
Alternate universe.
When I mentioned amphetamines, I was mentioning it because these are scientific findings that talk about the properties that you find in Mira and Mooka, and they're telling you these are the things they do. And when it is made into a drug that is sold to people, when it is prescribed for them, there are the positive sides. It helps in the treatment of attention deficiency. Okay? It is also used by athletes to enhance performance. And it's a cognitive enhancer. But at the same time, it is used as an aphrodisiac or euphoriant. Now, that is what you may think of it as the plus side. But this is when it is controlled. Now, who controls the chewing of these things? You just chew and chew depending on how much you can. And that's when the dizziness, the disorientation, culminating in psychotic episodes, culminating in hallucinations, that's when it happens. And can you imagine a young mind, someone starts consuming this thing at the age of 9, 10, 11, 12. You tell me. That person's life is actually ruined. I haven't read of how this thing is treated and how it is managed yet and the details of it, but I'm going to. You know, something that it goes directly and affects your central nervous system. That's something, that's not something you want to joke with.
That's a big deal, man.
It rewires you completely.
It's a big conversation.
It's a very huge conversation.
It's a very big conversation.
And you know,
if this is the effect of it, then is this conversation then starting that journey towards saying ban the production of this particular crop?
When people...
Because people cut their coffee and tea, they actually uprooted those things.
Yes, they did.
To plant Mogoka. Because Mogoka is faster maturing, easier and more direct cash.
Yes.
This number of tea factories, TOs, waste, bonus, it's a long story. Mogoka, hapa kwa shamba, uza, get your money. Move, next. Now you're telling people, okay, now let's go back to planting avocado. You wait for 3 years before the avocado produces, and then now you start...
There's macadamia.
It's a bigger one. Now, wait for that tree to mature. Then
wait for the tree to grow.
Now you see, people know where their interests lie. Now, the sellers of this product in Mombasa clearly did not know. Their interest lay in the market, in the place where you're selling
this
it.
Thing, yeah.
Yes, the relationship that needed to be built is what they destroyed.
Self-regulation would have come in and said, okay, let's regulate this thing. But even if you regulate it, City, even if you say, so yeah, we're not going to sell it to persons under the age of 18, blah, 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 this and the other. So you're selling it to somebody who's 30 and they have a family.
Yeah.
You heard that woman politician saying, we are seeing families are break.
Oh, yes.
It has an effect. Even if you started selling this into a 30-year-old who has access to cash.
There's nothing positive about addiction. There is nothing positive about addiction because that's what it leads to. The reason why the murmurs and the discussions around this have been mild is because it has been treated like a pet, something that isn't harmful, and yet this thing is a wild animal.
Boy. Okay. Let's continue this conversation in coming days and see the effect of it, especially now looking at, so this is Mombasa County, and the question that we asked the governor, you have gone ahead and instituted this ban. What's the legal standing of this particular ban? What does it mean? Can you do that? Do you actually have the authority to say I banned the importation of potatoes into my county? Can you say that hapa Mombasa hatutaki sukuma wiki yoyote ambayo inatoka
hatutaki viazi
hatutaki viazi. Can you do that? Tuko na bahari hatutaki mama. It's 10 a.m. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow.
Spice up your life.
It's now 10 a.m. Get effective relief from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Relief starts here.